Welcome to Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup. I'm your host, Jason Bland. And tonight is Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there, especially my wife. Happy Mother's Day to you. Giving birth to our two beautiful boys. It's been great being locked down with. It is. It actually has been really great being locked down with my family. I've actually enjoyed it. You get to spend the time with them you don't get to normally spend. So I've been enjoying that. Happy Mother's Day. But I am the jerk that just realized that my first show was on Mother's Day 5 years ago. This is also our 5-year anniversary of Paranormal Soup. I started out doing the first show on Mother's Day. But it's late. It's right. We've already done the Mother's Day stuff, right? But yeah, 5 years we've been doing Paranormal Soup. It's been wondering about it all day, like how did time go by so fast? But it does, just like it does on the show every night. So we got to get to it. Our guest tonight is somebody who's it's almost been 5 years since he's been on the show. Is Phil Siracusa, the Horsefly Chronicles. We've had him on a couple times. Very familiar with his the investigations that have gone there. Lots of different paranormal investigators have been to the Horsefly Chronicles house. Phil Siracusa, Julia Siracusa. Their activities crazy, but it's Phil's story. I think it'll explain a little bit about why their lives are so filled with the paranormal and maybe the demonic. We don't know. There's a lot to this story tonight, and we got a lot to get into with the World Wide Web of Weird, and we will open up the phone lines probably after the second commercial break. There's a lot to get to with Phil. It's been a long time since we had him on, so we want to kind of recap his story because it's so incredible. But let's go ahead and get rolling into the show. Welcome to another night of Paranormal Soup. As I said before, I'm your host, Jason. 5 years, 5-year anniversary. I've been thinking about it all day. Like we were talking about, I think last week, the Star Trek episode Inner Light, where Picard lives this like other life. Yeah, I'm trekking out here, but it's like he jumps from like memory to the next memory. Like he's living his life. It's like next thing you know, he's an old man. Well, doing this show for 5 years, I'm like, God, I cannot believe it's been 5 years. I didn't realize when I booked Phil for this show that was the 5-year anniversary date. Totally slipped my mind. And it just boggles my mind that it has been 5 years. So thanks to everyone. And I'll talk a little bit more at the end of World Wide Web of Weird about our 5-year anniversary. But thanks for everyone's support that's gotten us here over these 5 years. But one of those people who supported me from the almost very beginning is Jamie D, my beautiful co-host. How you doing tonight, Jamie?
Hello. Happy anniversary.
I know, 5 years. It's like I said, I keep saying to myself, I just can't believe it's gone by that fast. I mean, it's like watching my kids grow up. I can't believe I got an 8-year-old and a 4-year-old. Another person who's been here almost since the beginning is Rob Autry himself from St. Augustine, Florida. How you doing tonight, Rob?
Doing good, man. Again, like Jamie said, happy 5 years, man. Time flies.
Yeah, 5 years has gone by and a blink of an eye, I swear. But, we got a lot to get to in the World Wide Web of Weird, and being here doing this for 5 years is weird, but let's go ahead and roll into the World Wide Web of Weird. tonight on the World Wide Web of Weird, I figured we might as well just get out of the way. The first article. Let's talk about murder hornets. Everybody's talking about murder hornets, and the whole thing seems a bit odd to me. But let's go ahead and get into this from Unexplained Mysteries. Murder hornets have reportedly entered the U.S. Oh my God! Everybody run for their lives! Yeah. If you're listening on Paranormal Soup's radio network, we are a webcast. We are live on Facebook and YouTube. Please follow and subscribe, where we show videos and pictures. But if you want to listen, I'll narrate as best as possible. This, like I said, comes from Unexplained Mysteries. I know everybody's probably heard about the murder hornets, but I want to cover it for my thoughts on it. More commonly known as the Asian giant hornet, these huge wasp-like insects have already proven a problematic invasive species in Europe, and now it looks like though they have arrived in the U.S. as well. According to the Washington State Department of Agriculture, there have been 2 reports of insects near Blaine, as well as additional unconfirmed reports in sites in the Custer area. Measuring 1.8 inches long with a venomous stinger of a quarter of an inch in length, the Asian giant hornet can have actually prove lethal to humans and is responsible for up to 50 deaths a year in Japan. Again, run for your lives! No. In addition, these predatory insects are known to attack honeybees. This is the part that scares me. Unlike their Japanese counterparts, have no innate defense against them. As a result, even smaller numbers of hornets can totally devastate an entire honeybee colony. That is what worries me, is if somebody getting stung and dying, I hope not, especially a child. I mean, these things look monstrous, but what scares me is the whole destroying the honeybees. They've taken a hit, as it seems. You hear my dog in the background. Sorry about that. But a new species is entering our state. This is the first drop in the bucket, just like it's going to be forever different. We need to teach people how to recognize and identify this hornet while populations are small, so we can eradicate it while we still have a chance. Yeah, if it destroys the honeybees, then we're in big trouble. So enough, more stuff for you to be scared about and run. That's the media keeps. But my point of this is, are they giving these stories like the murder hornet thing, like they're throwing that into the mix, the coronavirus winding down, to keep our attention away from other things? And there's some things in science and technology coming up that I think we should be worried about. This next one is Elon Musk was on Joe Rogan. And boy, it's always entertaining when Elon Musk goes on Joe Rogan. They whip out the doobies or the blunts and start smoking and talking science, right? Elon Musk predicts human language will be obsolete in as little as 5 years. We could still do it for sentimental reasons, he says. Elon Musk says, this is from The Independent, Elon Musk says technology he's working on could render human language obsolete as in few as 5 years. The Tesla chief, appearing on the Joe Rogan Experience podcast, made the prediction during a discussion about his neural technology with the firm Neuralink. And I've talked about this before on the show, is this whole Neuralink thing. He basically wants to put chips in people's brains. He started back in 2017, whatever, experimenting on monkeys, putting chips in their brains. It's pretty messed up. But he thinks we could all just talk to each other using this telepathy. I mean, this is what we talk about. The aliens, putting implants in people and talking to them telepathy. I think Elon Musk might be an abductee. I don't know, but he wants to put chips in our brain. The chips, which is powered by is battery powered, would be implanted in the skull, and its electrodes very carefully is in quotes, inserted into the brain. And interface. Damn it, my damn article. I'm reading on a damn tablet, and an article just flipped out on me. Some websites. All right. It can interface with anywhere in your. I can't even read this. It just keeps flipping around. Some news articles are not mobile friendly. It can interface with anywhere in your brain, so it could be something that helps cure eyesight, Musk told Rogan, adding its principles, it can fix almost anything. That's how they're going to get these things in our brains. First it's going to be helping get people eyesight, but then it's going to be like the new fad, and everybody's going to be getting chips in their brains, and
not everybody, not me,
not everybody.
The more tech we get, I think the dumber we're becoming.
But these guys' mind will become smarter because we can instantly access the internet for information. Like we've seen how that. Yeah, we got phones. People are doing that already. It hasn't made them smarter.
No.
All right, but moving on. This one is a little. I have to admit that I'm a little excited for this one because I'm a big sci-fi space kind of geek, and it's one of the reasons I kind of like Elon Musk. I have to say I like all of his ideas. Go to space. I want to like him. Yeah. This one, scientists create jet engine powered by electricity only. A prototype jet engine can propel itself without using any fossil fuels, potentially paving the way for carbon-neutral air travel. The device compresses air and ionizes it with microwaves, generating plasma that thrusts it forward, according to research published Tuesday in the Journal of AIP Advances. That means planes may someday fly using electricity and their air around them as fuel. There's a long way to go between proof of concept. Man, I am having the worst luck with articles tonight. I'm getting spam on my articles. When did this start? Wow. Hold on. I got to reload that. That is stupid.
You didn't want to read that article. You wanted to see an ad for something that you'll now never buy.
You just won, No, I didn't win anything. I'm trying to read your stupid article. It's not stupid. I actually think it's cool. There's a long way to go between proof of concept prototypes, installing an engine, and then here it goes. It just does that. Well, I've read the article before I started getting stupid ads on it. Congratulations, you won something at Walmart. No, I didn't. Websites, horrible. Anyways, these engines don't require fuel, and they're using air to power them, but they're also proof of concept. They're thinking of making these for spacecrafts. Craft have to either be in space or they once they hit the air, they're not very good at maneuvering. These could be a second power or way to get ships up in the air with these kind of jet engines that can be switched over to go to space and be engines in space, just like you see like the Millennium Falcon take off with its afterburners going up and then it's finally in space and then it goes in hyperdrive. So cool technology, I think. Let's hope the next article I don't get so many damn ads just like screwing everything up. It's driving me nuts. If I get one on this, then I know there's something wrong with my phone. Australian-designed AI attack drone prototype unveiled by Boeing ahead of mass production. This one concerns me. An Australian-designed military drone that uses artificial intelligence technology, that's the part that concerns me, to target enemies that they has been unveiled to the public. The first military plane to be designed and built locally in more than a half a century, developed by the Royal Australian Air Force and U.S. manufacturing. Boeing, the Loyal Wingman drone has a range of 3,700 kilometers and expected to eventually join manned aircraft such as the Joint Strike Fighters into battle. The working prototype of the Loyal Wingman unveiled on Tuesday will begin a ground testing with taxi tests and flight tests due later this year. The Prime Minister Scott Morrison, of course, this is all from Australia. This is ABC Australia. Prime Minister Scott Morrison hailed the aircraft's development as a truly historic moment for our country and for Australians' defense innovation. Of course, we're highly involved with Australia as our military, so we will have these too. And man, I don't know if anybody's ever seen the movie Stealth, where they, the jet fighters, are like come by at any. This is what it reminds me of. Like this is gonna be an AI. It's almost as big as a jet. You got to see the videos of this thing. This thing's huge. I mean, it can go into aerial combat with other jets manned by people, take them out, and it's all flown by AI, just like in Terminator. Yeah, that's so great. It's so great. Just like China has an AI system, that monitors people, and they call it Skynet. Wow, just just so you people know, like I said, those movies are not instruction manuals. Exactly. They're not instruction manuals for the future. They're warnings. Oh, let's not. I fear the AI, and this is why. When you put it in a big, heavily militarized drone, somebody can hack into, or the next the AI is going completely bonkers on you.
I'm sorry, Dave.
Yeah.
I'm afraid I can't do that.
I'm just going to bomb you, Dave. Just what I worry about. All right, let's move on. Going through it quick because these last three are videos, and I want to show a video of our very first episode of Paranormal Soup, a little clip from it, so you can see how far we've come. This next one, I don't have an article. It's been going around a lot of different UFO websites, like Hidden Underbelly, other ones. This UFO was seen on Italian TV news during a broadcast coming from Rome. I believe this is around maybe May 8th, May 7th. A blue disc is seen moving from left to right on the screen in the background. It's really quick. I'll have Rob play it a couple times and definitely make it a bigger picture. Look at it. And it flies through air, not like a bug would or something. It looks like it's something like a ship.
Yeah, I mean, it's got the classic.
Hence why we have to have AI drones and get all this future technology so we can keep up with the aliens that are like already here invading us. I don't know.
I want to know what that guy in the background's saying. It sounds kind of like.
I know it's from Italy. Go ahead and play it one more time. I
definitely.
want to see that one more time.
¿Qué cojones es eso?
It almost has a saucer shape, but it's like glowing blue. You see it? It's like it almost has like that classic UFO saucer shape. I know it's just a little blur on the screen, but kind of that's what it looks like.
It's so fast.
Yeah, just cruising right through. All right. You'll see it on Ancient Aliens a couple years from now.
Yep.
We're aliens visiting Rome. Okay.
Exactly.
Here's another one. Triangular UFO captured on film in Colombia. This one's from Colombia. The footage, which is uploaded on May 3rd by YouTube user OM, shows the object, which resembles a triangular wedge shape moving from left to right, up and high above the trees. I thought it was a kite, but it flew slowly in a straight line, the uploader wrote. Then I realized it wasn't a kite. It was obviously a triangular shape. It's not. If it's not a UFO, what is it? Short time later, he elaborated further on the story behind the recording. I filmed this just on high on top of a mountain in Colombia. At first, I thought it was a kite because of the shape, but it was not that windy. Then it fell slowly in a straight line from east to west. It was much cleaner when I look, especially when it was over my head. I saw it wasn't flat shaped, kind of like an upside triangular pyramid. All right, go ahead and you're already playing it. Yeah, when it zooms in, when I on it, you really see it's the triangle. Yeah, that's a good shot of it there. I mean, it looks like, I don't think that's a kite. And I zoomed in and I had to cut it a couple times because it goes out of his frame because it's like just taking off.
Yeah,
And it just like flies out of the shot. Yeah, the kite doesn't just fly out of the shot. It would still be hanging there. Not a kite. And he was up on a mountain out in the middle of nowhere. I don't know. I mean, it looks like a solid shape, something. That's something. All right, what is, with everybody being lockdowns, everyone's being distracted with politics and coronavirus and, murder bees. What else is going on? I always say they're trying to distract us. They're always trying to distract us from something else. So what's going on behind the curtain? And I think a big deal might have to do with aliens and UFOs. Just saying, because we've had this whole disclosure thing kind of slightly happening.
Yeah.
All right. Last one was in Las Vegas. I found this on Coast to Coast. Odd orb spotted in Las Vegas. A curious piece of footage from Las Vegas shows 4 mysterious red orbs hovering in the night sky. The intriguing video was reportedly filmed last week in areas southwest of the city. In the footage, puzzling crimson lights initially appear in the diamond formation. The strange cluster then realigns when the top 2 orbs on the edges, however, hover towards each other in the center of what now looks like a vertical line of lights. Though this may be a trick of perspective, if the diamond had simply rotated in the sky. Theories as what the orbs could have been conclude the fantastic, such as alien craft, of course, or the prosaic, including drones. I don't think they're drones. I don't know. Go ahead and play the video.
These are red lights coming up out of somewhere. This is a real video.
I got this from Hidden Underbelly. You can definitely see it better if you go to their YouTube channel, Hidden Underbelly 2.0, to see it yourself, because they're very faint. I do a zoom in here in a second of it.
No fun. These are red lights coming up out of somewhere. This is a real video. I'm in Richmond.
Yeah, it's hard to see. There's other lights that show up there. It's really faint. But again, what are we missing? What are they doing behind our backs? Look at all this technology coming out. There's also, I didn't have it in here, but there was there's a space plane microwave power beam experiment that's going on too, where we can basically fuel anything, keep things aloft, or they do that now, but in a way where stuff could stay up there indefinitely, flying around, drones, and now we can give them powered by electricity. So, I mean, the space wars are happening. There's a reason why we're going to have a space force.
Yeah.
It's coming. That's the next frontier of warfare. Man has to find a better way to kill themselves. It's going to be done in space.
Yeah.
But that's it for the World Wide Web Weird. I want to talk a little bit too. Like I said, 5 years gone by real fast. I really appreciate everything. Jamie, Rob, you guys have been there almost the whole 5 years. My friend Judy started it with me. Chris got too late for her. And I remember Todd was on the show, and Bill, all those guys, everybody's contributions to the show meant so much over these years, and friendships I made. That's the craziest thing. I never knew doing the show I'd end up knowing so many great people, be it guests or people that have watched the show and become fans, or just just the caller who calls in that I've never talked to before. Those are my true pleasures of doing this show, but also the pleasure that I've seen so many people have been coming back almost since the beginning. Still coming every Sunday night to listen, or most Sunday nights. Zach, my favorite caller, always calling in. Love you, Zach, if you're listening. And the support of my family too to do this. 5 years. When I first started doing this, one of the early guests I got on that I was like, oh, he's big, is Jim Harold, and he is. He's like the king god of podcasting, and I listened to Campfire Podcast. Totally a big fan. Had him on the show, and he told me, he said, anything you do, you need to at least give it 5 years to see if it's something you really truly can do. Give it 5 years and see if you can make something of it. Well, I've done it for 5 years. I'm not saying, I'm not making money off of it, but I feel I'm proud of where we've come from, how far we've come, and the audience in the chat room. I always get my guests to say, wow, your chat room or your callers especially, are such intelligent people, have such great questions. And I'm so proud of that. I'm so proud I have given a forum for people in the chat room to talk to each other, to be open, and not be afraid to talk about the things that other people snub their nose at or think people are weird for believing in. It's not even about belief. It's about asking questions. And that's why I do this show. And it's been truly my honor to do it and have you guys as audience. To everybody who shares the show out, thank you so much. That is the biggest help. Telling people about Paranormal Soup is, I always say, that's the best way to help the show. And also to the Patreons who do help pay the bills, $2 a month. It does help pay because this isn't free to do this. It does cost money, but I don't make money really doing it. I just, those $2 donations or other donations other people have made bigger than $2 of some huge donations I've had to the show. I want to thank all those people. It means the world. Never thought I would get that kind of help from people to put this on, to do all the things we do. And like I said, 5 years goes by really fast. Now we got a clip here, Rob. You go ahead. This is how far we've come. This is I'm gonna go ahead to get the share screen up here of our just the first clip of the very first episode I ever did on Mother's Day, because I was a jerk. I scheduled my first episode on Mother's Day, but go ahead.
I remember that.
There you are.
I is here.
So I know what went wrong. Yeah, you remember when he said about tearing a hole in the universe when I was double stream?
It was doing it because it had YouTube running at the same time, didn't it?
You got it. And I'm like, stupid me. And I knew that and totally spaced it out at the beginning. I was going to shut it down before I started and hit play and forgot. So that's the way to start the first episode out, with tearing a hole in the universe.
And yes, our first episode we did tear a hole in the universe. I hit play and started, and I forgot to shut down the YouTube page on my computer, not realizing it. So the first 4 or 5 minutes of the original posted stream was literally the universe being ripped by audio in half, just sputtering out of control, echo. It was horrible. Then I had to restart the stream. But that was our first episode. You can see actually my basement there. You don't see anymore since I got the green screen. A lot of difference there, Come a long way, and the video quality too. And Jamie and Rob, you guys, you've been here for most of the changes, and I again thank you guys for sticking with me, being here every Sunday night and helping me do this show. Jamie and Rob, my hat's off to you if I was wearing a hat. Your friendship and your dedication to helping me do this show has meant so much. Remember, guys, hit them up in the chat room for questions tonight. I don't know if you guys have any words for the 5-year anniversary. Jamie, Rob.
This is like my paranormal family, man. I'm glad to be here every week. like my favorite people, and man, it's like you say, it's a trip how fast 5 years have gone by. Doesn't seem like it until I look in the mirror, but
Right?
It's
Anything you want to say for 5 years?
definitely something I look forward to every week. It's like it's become a family. The people in chat become friends. I look forward to seeing, everybody every week, and it's just something very special to me too.
Well, you guys are special to me, and that's why I say, I couldn't do the show without you two. I couldn't do the show without all the fans in the chat room, and all the people who share it out, and the support I've gotten over the years. It means everything to me. This is my outlet. This is my outlet too, and I think it is for a lot of people to, like I said, get into the weird. Be open about the paranormal. But that's it. That's all I'm going to say. Our 5-year anniversary. We got Phil Siracusa on with us. He's in here in the giant right room. How you doing, Phil? He'll be ready in a minute after the commercial break. But we're going to talk to him of the Horsefly Chronicles when we come back. And like I said, we'll probably open the phone lines after the second commercial break. We'll give out those phone lines later. Again, I can't believe it's been 5 years. Thanks everybody for the support. But we'll be back with our guest, Phil Siracusa, the Horsefly Chronicles, after the short commercial break.
Switch to DCS ranging.
240. Join us every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time for Weird Wednesday, the live stream, with your hosts Jamie, the Living Dead Girl, and Rob, the Phantom, where we'll talk about all things paranormal, including zodiac, astrology, tarot card and oracle card readings, live ghost boxing and spirit communication, where we'll do Voices from Beyond, the Cold Case Files. So we hope you join us live on Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time. We hope to see you there. Bye-bye.
Bring life to the dead. 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 Enter the occult world of necromancy. You were brought here for one purpose. Necromancy.
A ceremony dating back to the pre-Christian era. It's the art of reviving the dead. It requires involvement with evil spirits by the person performing the act.
The devil god brings life to the dead.
No, please. No, please.
And death to the living. Necromancy. Starring Orson Welles and Pamela Franklin. From Cinerama releasing. In color, rated PG, parental guidance suggested.
The international chart-topping, haunted horror of Haverfordwest has been described as terrifyingly real, a must-read, shocking and chilling brilliance, genuinely worrying, utterly frightening. Don't read before bed. Described as one of the spookiest writers out there, best-selling author G.L. Davies presents Haunted, Horror of Haverfordwest, the true paranormal account that is shocking the world. Dare you enter? Dare you read? Haunted, Horror of Haverfordwest is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, and wherever books are sold. Pray you never have to live there.
He is conducting an experiment into the combined effects of sensory deprivation and hallucinatory drugs. The subject of the experiment is himself, and the experiment is out of control. Ken Russell's Altered States, a film that must not be missed, is in the West End now. Altered States, Certificate X.
The night is alive. Join us and take a walk on the weird side when you tune in to the Kingdom of Nye, hosted by Heather Wade, the finest in late night talk. Listen live free weeknights starting at 9 p.m. Pacific time at thekingdomofnye.com, talkstreamlive.com, and the Paranormal Radio app. Wanna take a ride?
Do you like rock and roll? Do you enjoy a good story? Wish You Were Here, A Rock Fantasy, is a book inspired by Badfinger. It will not only entertain you, but intrigue you. What is it about? Well, Thomas is searching for his bandmate and friend in heaven, and in spirit has helped pen this story. He meets an old friend and famous new ones on his afterlife voyage. Midwest Book Review said, Wish You Were Here, A Rock Fantasy, is a book inspired by Badfinger. It's a quirky story by Joyce S. Isaacson and is unique, original, and deftly crafted metaphysical novel that showcases the author's genuine flair for character and narrative-driven entertainment that is simply riveting from first page to last. Wish You Were Here, A Rock Fantasy is now available on pennantpublication.com, Amazon.com in paperback and hardcover, and also on Kindle Unlimited. So check it out now. Wish You Were Here, A Rock Fantasy.
Switch to DCS ranging.
240, nominal to profile.
We're in the pipe. 5 by 5.
Tonight on Paranormal Soup, we have returning guests. It's almost been 5 years since we had Phil Siracusa on. Phil and Julia Siracusa are most known as the homeowners of the Horsefly Chronicles home, which is a well-documented case located in Eastern Pennsylvania. Phil is the author of 2 books, The Horsefly Chronicles, A Demonic Haunting, and The Curse of the Horsefly. Julia Siracusa is an empath and founder of the Threefold Paranormal team. She won't be on with us tonight. She has to get up early. She is with us in the chat room. Hi, Julia. They have lost where I was at, the Paranormal team. She created to find answers on ongoing missing children of the Holly Ann Hughes and other missing children, which we had her and I believe Vanessa Holt on a few years ago talking about that. Together, they continue to try to research the paranormal and understand the hauntings that remain in their home until this day while raising their 4 boys. I couldn't imagine raising 4 boys in a haunted house. But we had Phil on. It's been a long time. It is such an incredible story Phil's going to tell you tonight. I want him to recap because if you haven't heard Phil's story, you really need to. This is a man who remembers going to heaven and hell before being born. A man who got involved with the a Ouija board and occult magic and with the mafia. There's so much to Phil Siracusa's story that last time we had him on, it was like only a 2-hour show. Thankfully, we got a little bit more time to really delve into this and what they have coming up, a new television show, if I remember hearing. We're going to talk about all that, and we will open up. I have already people asking about calling in. We will open up the phone lines after the next commercial break, so just hold on. When we come back from the commercial break, I'll give out those phone lines and you can call in. But let's go ahead and get to our guest. It's been a long time, Phil. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Sure. Thank you for having me on. 5 years went really quick.
Right?
Wow.
I didn't I think it's been, I'm trying to remember the last time we had you on, if it's been almost 5 years since we even had you on. But I remember there's a clip we'll show later tonight where I think the first time we ever talked to you, I was doing these Untagged Tuesdays where I was really doing some live ITC and stuff. And there was a clip that we analyzed. We'll play that later tonight. But that'll be interesting. People get a little more of a see how far the show's gone. But you're one of my first, you and some of the different people I've had on the show that have investigated your home. You've had a lot of different paranormal investigators in this home. But I want people tonight to kind of hear a little bit of your story before we get into what's been going on in the home, because I think it explains, in my opinion, I don't, maybe not yours, but at mine, I think it explains a lot of why you have weirdness in your home or demonic entities. I think a lot of your background has a lot to do with everything happening now.
Yeah, it's a crazy story. So for a recap, for those who don't know, the Horsefly Chronicles, it's a life story that I'm living and still continuing. So I remember a past life, whether some people believe in reincarnation or they don't, past lives are true. And I remember dying in an explosion. And I was around this campfire with 3 other people. And after this flash of light and this explosion happened, I remember being pulled in to heaven. Heaven is real. I can't prove it. I guess you'll see when you get there. It's real. It's just like the higher vibration of everything possible that you could possibly imagine. And there's no time in the spiritual world at all. Time does not exist. But I remember this one angelic being telling me, you have to go. I will come back for you. And in a flash, in the blink of an eye, I was pulled into darkness. And I was in hell. And it sounds kind of far-fetched and unbelievable. And believe me, I get it. Because if I was hearing someone else to tell this, I wouldn't believe it either. But I through my books, I talk about heaven and hell and how real it really is. It does exist. And the devil, Satan, knows our fears. People ask me, well, what do demons look like? They play off of your fears. They're so far advanced and so way ahead of us. So because there's no time and the suffering and the pain that you do envelop in hell, it's like stepping in 3 feet of fire, being pulled apart, holding your breath, and that pain just starts over and over again. And there's nothing but hundreds and hundreds of thousands of screams by people that went to hell as well. But I did see at one point this crack of light came from like very far away. So the inside of hell I could describe as like an inside of a volcano, and I seen this pinhole of light coming slower and closer and slower and closer. And it started to consume me. So how long was I there? I don't know. How long was I in heaven? I don't know. I just know that these other realms do exist. And I was pulled into this light, and I took back me. I took back everything that I lost. Love, peace, happiness. And it's very fast. It happens so fast. It's like you're going through a tunnel. Like you're being sucked into like this vacuum cleaner hose very fast. And then on September 16th, 1967, I was born in this physical world. And through adolescence, I would have nightmares, severe nightmares of these demons. But, back in the 70s, your parents said it's a nightmare. Go back to bed or get a slap. pretty much. So I decided to go back to bed. I didn't want to slap. But the truth really is that they got stronger. The presence was getting stronger around me. And it comes with you. You know, we talk about attachments here in the physical world. Well, I believe through my experiences and what I've been through is that we travel in soul circles where when we start a new lifetime, you're going to say to yourself, wait, I know that person, but I don't know from where. And the truth really is you probably do know them. So we travel in these circles through multiple lifetimes. Through my knowledge and experience and talking to so many people within the field, it's each life cycle is a grade. You start out kindergarten, 1, 2, 3, up until you fully develop. You're completed your soul, your energy, your aura, everything about you is complete. Then, I don't know, but maybe there's a possibility that you don't return. I don't know. But I do know that reincarnation, when we have deja vu as well, when you feel like you've been somewhere, chances are you've been there. So because I had these attachments and I was going through this in the 70s, there was no talking about ghosts. The only talk I heard about ghosts, I remember I have this Aunt Mary who used to say, I'm going to put a curse on you, joking around to my father. But I was a kid. I didn't really believe it, you know. Lo and behold, here I am now. So it does really happen. Now, at the age of 19, I had a friend and his mom in Staten Island, New York, found missing kids. She worked for the police department. And I went to her and I was like, look, I think I have something that's been following me, you know. And she took out a Ouija board in her house. I'll never forget this. And I wanted to sit in a chair in the living room. She goes, you can't sit at that chair. And I was like, why? And she goes, because someone's sitting there. But I didn't see anybody, but I guess she did.
That's always a smart way to start.
Yeah, and what I found interesting is that she puts the Ouija board on her knees and she touches it, and I'm sitting across the room, and she goes, does anybody here want to talk to Philip? And I see this plaquette moving rather quickly, and all of a sudden, it's my Aunt Mary coming through that she don't even know. She don't know my family, and she's talking to me as if she's there. And I found that to be interesting. I'm talking out loud, and she's answering my questions. And I had chills. Now, as a teenager, did I believe it? I was on the fence of believing and not believing. After all the nightmares, after my remembrance of my past, of heaven and hell, and you know, people do say, you know, come on, no such thing, right? Embedded in some of our minds, our subconscious minds, I believe that if you really went into this deep meditation, like when people try to bring you back to a past life, it can be done through this remembering process. So I took it a step further, and I decided to do the Ouija board myself to see if it would actually work. So I'll pause it there and see if you have any questions.
Well, the one thing I wouldn't get into is the memory itself of you have how, you know, is it an early, you know, your earliest memory is this past life and seeing heaven and hell? Is that like the earliest scene you can remember? I mean, or did you realize at some other point in your childhood, like, wait a second, I was in heaven and hell and I was this other person? How long have you held on to this that you know it's a memory?
You know, that's a good question. Through adolescence, I would always have these daydreaming effects, especially in school, where I kept getting into this memory of heaven and how beautiful it was. I mean, for me to try to describe heaven on radio would be a disservice because it's beyond our words. It's beyond perfection. And, you know, we don't speak like we have to speak now in the physical world. It's all through the mind. We already know what each other's thinking. We already know each other's feeling. And, you know, I do remember this one particular thing about heaven was the gardens. These gardens had more colors. It was so vivid and beautiful. It's incredible. And it's as if nature itself can talk to you without you trying to touch it or talk back. You embrace everything comes to you. It's beyond the words of perfection, and it really does exist. And again, so in a complete opposite, hell exists. And, people say it's a bad nightmare. I would say it was a bad nightmare too. But as I got older and I started to see these dark shadows and feel this negative presence, there really is nobody to talk to back in the 70s about that. People really don't believe, it's one of those things where it's forbidden. But the truth really is, it does exist. So through adolescence up until the teenage years, I kept having these flashbacks of heaven and hell. And not only the flashbacks through the mind, but through the feeling of what it felt like, the pure goodness and the pure evilness that I dealt with, both good and evil.
One of the things that's always interested me about your case is a lot with the shadow people, because I had my own shadow person experience when I was between the ages of 17 to 18. And very similar. When you say they know all your weaknesses, they know your fears, that's exactly how I describe my shadow person that attacked me. It knew there's stuff I can't. I put this story down in a 50-page story in a book, Mike Ricksicker's book. Check it out. But I could not tell the whole story. I could not tell what this thing showed me and what it psychologically did to me, because it's too personal. They really knew everything about you. Maybe it's your shadow self, I don't know, but it felt like an evil entity. I still can't explain.
Yeah, shadow people are real, and I'm gonna, I don't want to fast forward too much into the story of the Horsefly Chronicles, but I will tell you, through paranormal researchers that have been here from around the world, I can tell you that it's different than the regular ghost.
Right.
It's different. It is so more intelligent. And there's still that big question mark of why and what do they want and what are they trying to get from us?
I felt that it was feeding off my energy. It was feeding off fear, the anxiety, the depression, the despair. It fed off of all that, and it laughed at it. It loved it. It was like it's bread and butter. And that's what I've always been interested in cases like yours. You talk about, we'll get into the story tonight, but one of the things that we've had Dr. Barry Taff on, infamous parapsychologist, one of the first. And one of the things that I think of your case when he talks about that it requires, for these kind of psychokinetic, crazy hauntings like this, not just a location. It's a location, but it's also the person. Like they're the needle on the record to get it to play. And so we're getting in tonight, everything that's been going on in your home. My theory, and I think we'll play this out, is that you're a bit of that needle on that record. And you can make a lot of paranormal places go crazy. And it's something to do with everything you're talking about right here. This heaven and hell experience, the shadow people, your dream. When you talk about your dream, it almost feels like you were stealing your soul out of hell. Or somebody was helping you get your soul out of hell to come back here. Like you escaped from hell and the shadow people are chasing you down. That's my imagination goes with it. But that's my feeling.
I agree with you. I actually agree with you 1000%. I agree.
Now, I don't know where you want to continue on this story or how, what part when it gets a lot of stuff I want to talk about, but go ahead.
So yes, that is 1000% true. And 19, 20, 21 years old, I found myself doing the Ouija board by myself. I wanted that full communication with the spirit or spirits that were following me. And I didn't get much out of it by myself. I just got a lot of mixed messages and mixed alphabets going through. And I really found it hard to concentrate. So I had a couple of friends help me out one night. We're in the basement of my parents' old home in Staten Island. And the planket went counterclockwise, really slow. And it's like, you're moving it back and forth, Then it started to go really fast, counterclockwise. And when it did that, one of my friends, all of a sudden, he felt like he got gut punched and he couldn't breathe and he had to stop. So, we all just walked away from the Ouija board, not knowing that we should have tried to say goodbye to this thing or whatever it was. Close it. We just walked away.
Oh.
Yeah, it was one of the worst things that you can do. But I'm going to say that evil knows our weakest link. And what happens is that through life, we all have choices. But sometimes these entities are able to pull people into the darkness, and you don't see good from evil anymore. And I think that's what was happening in that transition, because it's as if I had a gift, I was given something where good things would happen, and all of a sudden there was a repercussion for that. It was like the yin and yang, back and forth, back and forth. At 23 years old, my parents had purchased a new home on Staten Island. We moved from the old home, and I decided to go back with this person that I knew to the old home, who practices black magic, practices the evil arts. I wanted to get her perspective on the Ouija board in that house. Now, I'm not going to mistake that. My childhood was good. You know, my family was solid, the solid core of people. But there was always that lurking thing around, you know. So it was a friend of mine, and it was her. We're in the basement, and we're doing the Ouija board, and her father that died came through, and he's talking to us, father and daughter. And she gets this evil laugh in her, and she turns really, really cold, and she grabs out a knife from her back pocket and then cuts my friend in his hand. And we try to hold her down. She was actually going crazy at this point. And what I felt like is that she was talking to her father, but something came through in that home and then triggered her to attack my friend and then probably me after that. Being intrigued by the paranormal and scared at the same time, I had this biggest interest of, is it real? Is it real? Does it exist? And then I remember, you know, at the age of like 24 years old, I started working in a bar in Staten Island, owned by organized crime, owned by the mafia. And how this ties in is that when you work or do anything for the mafia, they have to know everything about you and your family, period. Whether you're a bouncer, a bartender, whatever you do, they got to know everything about you, where you live, the whole 9 yards. And I remember getting into conversations with this one guy who was my age, and his family was the big people on the block. And I asked him, what's your opinion? Do you believe in evil entities and this and that? And he's like, I think I do, you know. So I built that relationship of talking about this stuff with them. And it wasn't up until a few years later where one of their associates from a different family had killed an FBI officer in Staten Island. And if the mob did not get him, they would have been taken down. And we gave it a shot where they said, you know, do you think you can try and help us research this guy, since you talk about the Ouija board so much? And I didn't have any belief that I could possibly find somebody.
You didn't think that the mob was going to come to you asking you to try to help find somebody with it either?
But we were all together. We were tight. All of us were tight, you know. And I tried. I was like, you know, don't hold me to it, but I'll give it a shot. So we all met up one night, and I'm doing the Ouija board. And again, I know this is going to sound far-fetched. It does. Till this day, it still sounds far-fetched to me. We're doing the board, and this is the craziest thing. It was me, one of the wise guy's sons, and one of their associates. Well, he insisted on putting his hands on the board. On the plank kit, he insisted. And he goes, Phil, get your hands off of this. I take my hands off, and people that his family and other families whacked were coming through, fighting with him through the board. And I'm looking in amazement, and he's threatening them again. And I'm like, whoa, this is out there. This is out there. They're actually talking to this guy, fighting with him on the board. Yeah, it was crazy. And after that was like a half hour that lasted. They were going back and forth about why so-and-so was murdered and so on and so forth. At the end, I put my hands on the board. I says, we're looking for so-and-so. They gave us the exact address in Brooklyn, New York, of where this person was hiding out.
And then they went and whacked him?
Yes.
That's some heavy karma stuff there, man. I mean, how do you feel? I mean, you used a Ouija board to help them. I mean, yeah, he murdered an FBI agent, so I'm not feeling too much of a loss there. But somebody was probably whacked off of your information you got from a very, what I think powerful method.
I said to myself for a long time after that, it's got to be coincidence. It's just dumb luck that
no way.
This one, I try to convince myself of that, but it is what it is. People say, does the Ouija board work? Does anything really work? The answer is yes, but it's not the board. The board is not a magic wand. It's the intention that we have. I believe that if we have strong intentions on something, good, bad, whatever it may be, that intention can work for or against our will that we want to perform in this world. And sure enough people that I was with had an intention, a true belief to find this person before it was too late, and he was found. Did I like the guy personally that killed the FBI officer? I knew him. I didn't like him. He was not well liked. He has killed many of people before that. So that was his karma.
It caught up to him with I remember when you first told me this, when we first had you on, I was just amazed by the fact that the Italian, this is Italian mafia,
yes.
Staten Island area, that they would be even considering doing something like this. The fact that they did makes you wonder how much more they use these kind of methods.
I believe that
open to you.
They're the way some of the old timers would visit the Pope. They're very into the spiritual, and probably more than we know that they're involved in, giving it a shot, so to speak.
Well, there's also the Italian witches, the Strega, or you want to call them, that go back generations of families that are still active today that are witches, that have, that do curses and all kinds of stuff. You wonder how much that's ever been tied up in the mob. That's what I always found interesting about your story. Now, do you think for yourself, you have a lot of different stuff going on in your home? Do you think this person who is whacked has ever tried to get to you from the other side, or knows your involvement?
No. As time went on after that point, I started to get pulled more and more into the dark world. And I remember going to Manhattan and buying this book, and the place was called Magical Child. And the place sold potions, witchcraft stuff. I was just all about that. I guess it gives you a power, like it's this energy rush. That's what it gave me. And I kept going back to the store, to Manhattan, and I wanted to buy this one book. It was Gosha, how I would say. It's probably spelled different, but Goesha. And they wouldn't sell it to me. And it was in a showcase. And it was the Book of the Devil, book on how to summon evil spirits.
This was based off of King Solomon, wasn't it? If I remember right.
Sorry?
It was based off of King Solomon?
Off of King Solomon. And I had to have it. And I got the book. And I was intrigued by it. I took it home. I couldn't wait to go through it and start to read it, understand it. And the more I was reading it, the more I was, not my mind, but my feelings were understanding, wow, this really is what I've been experiencing. This is powerful, but yet it's so evil. And I pushed the evil part aside. And I remember just on one occurrence, and again, to the listener, I'm not this evil person. I just want to put that out there. But when you're pulled into this dark, when you're pulled into darkness at a young age, and you can't really see the difference. At some points, someone had crossed me over at the bar and threatened me. And I was like, I'm not going to use physical violence. I went home the next day, and it sounds, again, silly. I got 2 Matchbox cars. I opened up a page to that book. I read it, and through my mind, I'm making these cars crash on a T-bone accident. 2 days later, that accident took place with that person. The intention that any one of us, and again, it's not good. When people say, can witches actually do witchcraft? They can. Can a practitioner do good? Yes. It's all with the belief, the intention. And the other part about it is that evil's always watching us. They're always watching. And all these things that were following me through adolescence, these shadows, were just, I opened up that door wide open now. And now they knew they had me in that sense where there's a communication. He can't see us. He doesn't know that we're behind us, but we're pulling him into our world.
Well, King Solomon, people familiar, he could command demons to build his temple. He could, he had the magical tools to command demons. And if that's book is based off of that kind of magic, it's all about using demons to do your work, good or bad. So a lot of people consider that some bad scenarios can play out from that. I was trying to remember. I had a question there too I wanted to get into, and now I've totally lost it. Darn it! I had something I just totally lost. I was going to ask, and I've totally lost it. Tonight, 5-year anniversary. I'm losing questions. But you,
Phil was saying about
I know,
Ouija board.
Right. Well, it does. This kind of power can draw you in. I remember you were doing stuff like, were you doing something in a graveyard? You were like doing a Ouija board in the graveyard or whatever, and you blood magic, and you really got sucked in to this.
So yeah, as time went on, this is back in the 1996, I believe. My parents used to own a property upstate New York, and when you buy property up there, some of the old cemeteries come with the property, 1800s, whatever it is, they come with the property. It's part of your land. And there was this one person that was buried there with this huge stone that for some reason, the spirit that was contacting me through the board wanted me to open up this grave. And me, my youngest sister, her ex-boyfriend, my cousin, we did just that. We went all the way, and at the same time, we're using the Ouija board in the cemetery. And again, people that are listening, this is, I guess this is a learning curve, not to do anything like this.
Yeah, don't do it.
I look at it, I look at it now like, why would we even do something so stupid, And we went all the way. And I can't reveal certain things on the radio, but we did take something from there. And it was something that one of the spirits that has never given a name wanted in my possession.
So
remember the board
told you to dig up. They told you to go to this grave. I need you to dig this up. It's mine, kind of deal. Came through the Ouija board.
Yes.
Wow.
In that kind of way, yeah. And I remember these bugs, these weird bugs that we've never seen before were attacking us in the cemetery. These weird bugs. And all of a sudden, after all said and done, we're walking back to the cabin and we're being circled by this huge horsefly. And it's coming at us really fast. It's circling every one of us. And you think it's just the horsefly, And we go in the cabin and we go there, we just try to forget about what we did. And it was, we all felt bad that we did it. And we go back outside and we're circled again by the same horsefly. And I mean, when I mean circled, it was like diving at us.
Yeah.
So it's weird how the spiritual world can use certain things against us in the physical world, whether it's a resemblance of a fly, the black fly, the horsefly, a bat, whatever it is, they can use those things to say, hey, I'm here and I'm watching you.
And good too. I think, people get communications with animals showing up. We've had that experience on the good side, like a relative that comes through in a certain animal form or whatever. There's good things, but there's the you're on the dark end. Phil, you went to the dark side in this younger age. So don't judge Phil back. It was a younger Phil. I did things that were pretty stupid when I was 19 and 20 when it came to the paranormal. There's this temptation, like, especially if you're somebody who's like, none of this is real. I'm a skeptic, let's do it. And I've seen a lot of people approach it that way. Like, let's just do it. And then things get really bad. You knew you had early memories. You weren't a skeptic. You knew it was real, but that you wanted more of that real. You wanted to prove that it's real. And that's where I was from. You can see the skeptics go in and like, none of it's real. Let's just do this crazy stuff and see what happens. And then they find out it's real. But then there's people like me and you. We know it's real, but we want more and more proof of that real. We want to open up that veil. We want more answers. And every dang thing that we get into it is another little clue. But now there's another question, and it keeps drawing you in.
That's why I wanted to come back on your show, is because you relate to what I'm saying in a way where you've had your experiences, and it's so true that, like yourself, like myself, I always wanted to prove it to myself. Is it real? Is it real? Is it just my mind? Am I going crazy? Is it real? All these things around me, these entities, and but they empower you. They do. They empower you in a bad way to do bad things, because that's how they get stronger. So whether a family fights with each other, whether a guy goes out and commits multiple murders, it's sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes evil is at play, whether it's oppression, complete possession of a person. They're able to control people. And I have personally seen people, I was the passenger in cars, get taken over and all of a sudden start going really fast in the car and scaring me. Like they were going to crash the car doing 100 miles an hour. And I felt like they were being channeled through the spirit that was following me.
Like it could jump into somebody else's body and try to get at you with it.
Yes.
Yes. What I remember what I was going to say earlier is what I was thinking of while you were talking earlier is one of my favorite guests on Art Bell. You used to have as an Italian witch, Evelyn Pagalini. And she used to say this, and so it makes you think of your experiences and mine. But it's just like it's easy for people to be good when they don't have the tools to do otherwise. Once you give them the tools to do bad, to help themselves, then we'll see how good a person is. That she used to say. I probably butchered how she said it, but she used to be my favorite guest, just Italian witch, Evelyn Pagalini, and that's what I think when you talk about the the stuff you got into with the Ouija board and blood magic, is like, yeah. Most people are good, but sometimes you get them the opportunity to do something magical, something beyond their expectations of what they can do, and it's addicting.
Yeah, that's true. All the stuff like in this witchcraft store, potions, the books, the Ouija boards, the incense, the crystals, the metals, it goes back through generations and generations. It does work. It does. If there's enough intention and true belief behind it, like means you don't buy it, put it on a shelf in your house. You buy it with an intention to work it. It does work. But I would highly recommend that people don't go into the dark side or even dabble in it, because once you do dabble into darkness, it becomes a part of you that you should have never done. And that's not a good thing. So as much power as it gives you, it also takes away from you as well. Yeah,
it's a given. I think it's taking more away than it's giving you too. That's what you want, and you wonder how many people that are famous and people out there we don't know dabble in black magic to help them get further where they go. You don't know powerful business executives who might be dabbling in this stuff. I've heard of it. You wonder how many people behind the scenes that I think it's been going on for thousands of years are dabbling in these practices. Now that book, that King Solomon's book, or I forget what the other name you called it. Do you still have that book?
The book was buried with that person at the cemetery.
Wow. What made you decide to bury the book?
I didn't want no part of it anymore, and I knew that I wouldn't go back to that cemetery. It was a gift from the other side in a bad way. I didn't want no part of it.
So what was the moment though that that came to you that stopped you from going all the way down that dark path, that brought you back somewhat to normalcy, that I'm not going to do the Ouija board anymore, I'm not going to do blood magic? What was the point? What was the breaking point for you?
The breaking point was I own the fitness center in Staten Island, and I have a couple of crazy friends. And they come on, let's just do it. Let's just play the board one night when I was closing up. And I got pulled into it again, and we did it. And this girl came through that we knew, and she goes, well, how come you didn't visit my grave? And I was like, we didn't know you died. I knew you were sick. We didn't know you died. And she told us exactly where she was buried in the cemetery. She said, I don't have a stone because my family could not afford one, but there's a wooden cross. I'll guide you. Wow. And being the skeptic that I am and trying to debunk everything, the next day, me and my friends went to the cemetery in Staten Island called the Resurrection. Huge cemetery, huge. And this is back in the 90s. And we're just walking. Instead of going to the gatehouse and asking where so-and-so might be buried, we decided to see if she would lead us. And the wind was blowing toward us really fast. Now, every cemetery, for the most part, could be windy. It's just open land. But the wind was pushing us. And something told me in my mind, walk against the wind. So we're walking against the wind for like 10 minutes. And to the right is a cross. And there it was. And we nailed down and we said a prayer and we found her. So that night, we went back on the Ouija board and she goes, thank you. And I was like, wait a second. Wait, what's it like? I know you very well. What is it like on that side? You need to tell me. Now, this was the girl that did the Ouija board in my old house where I still lived with my parents in the basement. Oh, wow. That stabbed my friend.
So it's the same girl.
Yes. She goes, look. She goes, I do not believe in God. I don't believe in anything. But I am here. I'm on this land like you. The only difference, she goes, Philip, the only difference is you can't see me. But I can see you. I watch over my daughter. She goes, and there's so many of us, we roam the earth. And I was like, wait a second. There's more to this. And she goes, yes. She goes, the way I understood it back then was that she goes, it has to do with a certain alignment of the stars that gives the spirits energy that are earthbound to communicate with us and do certain things. Do I fully understand the alignment of the stars and how it affects the spirit? No, but I guess it's like an energy source for them. You know how they say the full moon comes out and all the myths come out, right? The werewolf myth and all that myth. Well, I guess it's on that line where they're able to get this energy from the stars, from the alignment of energy that's already surrounding, and communicate with us. And she doesn't believe in God. She's like, I'm staying here till my daughter comes, and then I'll see where I go, but I'll be watching you. And it scared me. Now, you asked me what was my breaking point. That night, I went home. My parents were at the upstate house. I'm at home in Staten Island, and I hear somebody walking up the stairs. And it's a big home, and you hear the actual walking up the stairs. So I open my bedroom door, and there's nobody there. And I'm like, okay. I go back to my room. I put the TV on loud so I don't have to hear nothing, and there's a knock on the door, my bedroom door. I froze. I walked over to the door, opened it really slow, and nothing was there. I shut the door. I put the TV louder. I put the fan on, and I put a radio on, and the TV went full blast by itself, real loud to the maximum, and then it shut off. I knew at that point I was in for a ride that night, and it is the most torturous, uneasy, scariest feeling to be alone, and now you know that this thing is just playing games. And I went outside my home. I couldn't stay in the house anymore. And a friend just happened to be coming home from a nightclub. And I see him driving on the main street. I stop him, like, you got to stay here tonight. And I made him stay over. It just so happens it's the gangster's son that we were talking about earlier. Yeah, he laughed. He thought it was funny. But I was like, I can't be in this house alone. And that was my breaking point of I can't do this no more. Because the mental torture behind it is just like that creep effect of what's watching you and what it can do if it's watching you. If it can make my TV loud, if it could shut it off, if it can manipulate electronics, what it could do to me.
Right. Oh, yeah, definitely. I was levitated by one of these things up off my bed. So I'm a big believer that these things can physically hurt you and do things. The rare rare occurrences, but I believe they exist. I think that's what you're dealing with. But I think part of that energy where it could turn on your TV or do these things, it comes from it's feeding off of you, Phil, and using that energy to manipulate and make things happen.
I agree. You know, will I ever see an entity right in front of me face value? I don't know. I hope never, but they can use us as the tool, as the conduit to make us do whatever it wants us to do, but also control us in ways and scare us. And that's when I broke through and I was like, I'm done with Ouija boards. I'm done with any kind of magics. I am done. I don't care what I get out of it. It's over. I don't want to go through that no more.
Yeah, for me, I didn't get down into the occult, but I used to be a person that would, you know, like, oh, you tell me there's a demonic force here, I'd go in there, come and get me, you know, that kind of person. I believed in it, but I didn't really believe in it until it happened, you know, and I always say it's like poking a stick in the dark, and you poke a hornet's nest. Sometimes you get what you ask for, and I think in both our cases, you got what you asked for, and I got what I asked for. We're like, nope, I don't want that. Don't want that. I've approached the paranormal ever since my incident a lot more carefully, because I do know there are things that are dangerous out there. And I think if you were using spells from a book that used, you know, rituals from King Solomon, this or Enochian magic, you know, or anything around those realms, it's powerful stuff. Some people might be able to use it for good, but it's Phil, you're just self-experimenting. You're doing it all with no teacher or anything, and you could have been opened up a lot of gateways that could have been really bad for you. And it could explain, I'm sorry, Phil, but what you're still going through.
Yeah, so and we're going to get to that. We're actually going to get to that point of where we are today and what this house actually holds.
Now, so that ended, you know, for you in that point in your life, and you went on. So what was the point in your life where you felt things started to turn back to the paranormal?
Well, after that, the year 1999, actually, I met my wife in a club, and had nothing to do with paranormal, nothing to do with anything. And was starting a family, you know. That was going through a different part of my life and wanted nothing to do with it. But evil always watches, you know. There's no time, right, in the spiritual world. So something can lay dormant, what we feel is so many years, but to them it could be like a second. And it's like, I got you again, you know. And starting a life and all that stuff, everything was good. Everything was good. You know, we moved to New Jersey from Staten Island. We moved from there to Pennsylvania, our first home. We had a little bit of things happening, but nothing major, you know. No real major. Yeah, little things that nobody was really like frightened of.
Right.
And then here's the kicker to this whole thing is that in the year of 2009, we had another house in Pennsylvania that we were renting at the time. Absolutely not one paranormal thing happened in the year of 2009. Nothing, not a blink of a bulb, not an apparition, absolutely nothing. It is as if it never existed in the first place in my life. Life was perfect. And I watched this, and I want the people to really understand this, what I'm about to say. I'm talking, everything was great, right? Good job, beautiful home, beautiful family. I had this friend who I was working at a cable company, and he lived in New Jersey. He's like, Phil, I need you to do me a favor. He's like, I know you used to be into the Ouija board and all that. I live in an old house. We think something is here. Can you come over one night? I have a Ouija board.
Uh-oh.
And now my life was great. And I thought about this. I'm like, he convinced me. He's like, come on, just one night. Nothing's good. I just want to see who this thing is, what it is in this house. And long and behold, after work on a Friday night in 2009, I went to his home, huge, absolutely huge, old Victorian home in New Jersey. It was me, him, and his wife. And we went upstairs to the third floor. Home was so big, there was so many rooms. And we're in this one spot. And I said, part of me was like, don't do this. Don't do this. Everything is so good for you. And he's like, come on, please just try to communicate with this thing. I put my hands on the plaquette. They put their fingers on it. It starts to move. And all of a sudden, I take back all the negative feelings I had from the past. And we made contact with that spirit, but the door was opened once again.
Right. It's like all I needed was you saying, "Oh, there he is. There's Phil. He's knocking on our door again." And it's just like you just opened. So was that the beginning of the Horsefly Chronicles with your family? That kind of opened it?
Well, that was 2009, and little things started happening. Then we found a house. We were looking to buy a house at the time. And on the real estate agent, it was a beautiful home, which is the home we live in now, but it was under contract with another family. So we did our search, and we found another home that was owned, another beautiful home, but it was owned by a priest. And we kind of liked the home. It had a nice setting, beautiful setting. And we just kept looking and looking and looking to get the right price for what we wanted. And I'm working in New Jersey. My wife calls me up. She goes, "Guess what? That house, it's out of contract." And I'm like, "Which house?" "The house we were looking at with the pointy roof." So I made an appointment with my wife in the real estate to come see this home. And I remember walking through the backyard before we even enter the house. And this gust of wind comes out of nowhere. I brushed it off. It was April wind. Okay. So we go in the home and we're doing a walkthrough, and we're walking through the house. And my wife knows I love basements because they're rec rooms, pool table, games, all that stuff. So the real estate agent, my wife, went to the basement first, and they're like, "You got to come down here, look at this." So I go down the basement. I fell in love with it. It was just like it was sold in my mind. And then there was this other room that I went into, and it was painted all red. The guy had an exercise machine in there. So my wife and the real estate person went upstairs, and I'm in the room alone. And all of a sudden, I felt my equilibrium balance go off. I felt like this shockwave, like this. Where am I for a second?
Yeah.
But I couldn't make anything out because I was happy about buying this house. But yet the room threw me off. But I dismissed it. Left, went upstairs, signed papers. And a couple months later, June 2010, we purchased the home. We moved in, which is now known as the Horsefly Chronicles home. Absolutely not one paranormal thing happened within the first 6 months of living here. Nothing. We were happy, once again. Nothing was happening. Nothing. It was good. We were just all excited. And I remember, my job was an hour away, and I would come home, and my oldest son at the time, he was like 10 back then. He's like, "The toys are going off in the basement by themselves." I'm like, "Come on. I don't want to hear this stuff." We made that room in the basement his bedroom. He wanted a private room, so we gave it to him.
Right.
And every so often he'd say, "The toys are going off. The toys are going off." But I wasn't buying into it. I was excited about my career, about the home, about what I was going to do to the house. But there it goes again. You see how the wave, it's like a wave in the ocean, right? It'll come, it'll go. It'll come, it'll go. And people say, "Wow, I found my dream home." Be careful, because did the home find you?
Right. Did it call you?
And in this case, which is the perfect storm of paranormal, the home found us, in a sense, because we had so many fights with the real estate people that were working for the sellers. There was just with the banks and so much miscommunication, and we weren't getting along. At one point, I do remember saying, "I don't want the house. Even if you gave it to me, I don't want it." I remember saying that, but my wife fought for the home. She's like, "No, I want this home." So it pulls us in. 6 months go by, nothing happens. And after the first 6 months, the fighting starts in the family.
It starts to find its energy source. The moment when you talk about when you first did the walkthrough and you went into the red room and you felt that little dizziness or whatever, I feel like that's the moment the needle hit the record a little bit, started to charge it up. The tune started to play, but it takes time. I've been a paranormal investigator. I've seen this, people moving a home and nothing happens in the first 6 months, sometimes a couple years, and then things go nuts. There's no time frame for this, how it works. Nobody knows.
That's the interesting thing. There is no time frame. You don't know when, you don't know why, you don't know who. It just happens. And so what was happening is my kids were fighting. A lot of arguments were taking place in the home for no reason. And it escalated. And when that was happening, I remember getting this big picture on the wall that I have gotten years ago, and I took it in the backyard and I smashed it with my sons. I thought the picture was cursed, you know. Maybe it was just like this cursed picture. And it wasn't that. So time went on, and my son got sick in that room. And he was about 11, 12 years old at the time, and he wound up with pancreatitis at that age, which is virtually impossible. And something told me in my mind to get him out of that room. So we made a bedroom upstairs for him. After his stay in the hospital, he slowly started to get better. And we just didn't let anybody in the room. I didn't understand it. And the arguments, the fighting, the problems that were going on with the children. I remember at one point, now I want to tell you that I wasn't too familiar with paranormal teams, investigators. I was clueless to that. I've seen it on television, but I was really clueless. And at one point, I walked around the home with the cross myself, saying, whatever's here, leave, you know, bless this home. Of course, you know, it didn't work. And it wasn't up until the summer of 2013, which was another breaking point. So 3 years later, after living here, my wife and I said, you know what, we need to have somebody here. It's either we're going crazy or there's something in this house. One morning, I get up for work at 5 a.m, and I'm seeing this black shadow. Now, the black shadow was a circle, and it was the size of a cantaloupe. And it went really fast in the kitchen, back and forth, up and down. I think it's the bulbs, or maybe the sun's shooting through. Something's happening. And I'm watching it to the living room, to the kitchen. It's just shooting around. And I went to work, and I'm sitting down with coworkers. We went out for breakfast, and I'm telling them what's going on in my house. And then one of my friends had said, you know what? Why don't you write a book? And I was like, you know what? Maybe I should write a book. And that's how the whole thing came out. Me starting a book about my life. I'm going to tell you that you want to talk about obstacles about writing a book in a haunted home. It's unbearable. I contacted a paranormal team that I seen on television. It was called Easton Paranormal Society. The guy was an ex-cop. He was from Phillipsburg, New Jersey. He came here. We sat on my back deck. I'm like, look, I don't know what I believe in. I just want to know if there's something here. And if there's not, fine. So we set up for him and his team to come investigate this home. And the night before, so it got pushed out about a month because of all the problems they were having and I was having.
Phil?
The night before, yes.
I'm going to have you hold that story there. We got to go to commercial break.
Yes.
And we're going to come back and talk about the first investigation you had there. But we're going to go to our commercial break. When we come back, we're also open the phone lines. If you call in, just wait until we call on you because me and Phil are going to be talking. But just hold on. And if you call and we hang up on you, just wait because somebody else is holding on the line. But we will be back and I'll give out those phone numbers for you guys to call in. We will take your questions here soon enough in the show. But we got a lot more to talk about this case. We got videos and photos we want to share tonight too when we come back. All right, back after this short commercial break.
When Alex Gardner is asleep, he has an extraordinary gift. The government wants it, the scientists want it, but to keep it may cost him his life. It might be better if Alex didn't sleep at all, but he cannot resist entering the dreamscape. Can you? See Dreamscape in the West End and all over London now. Certificate 15. It takes an extraordinary adventurer to enter the dreamscape.
Do you wish for more paranormal and spiritual content? The Paranormal Chronicles magazine is a free digital magazine crammed with the very best in paranormal and spiritual articles and features. No sign-up, no subscription, just free reading and knowledge for you. Read today at www.paranormalchronicles.com/magazine.
This is an Apex Studio presentation. Hi, I'm Barry, owner-operator of Barry's Barometer Barn. Lately, I bet you've been lying awake at night asking yourself, how many barometers do I really need? Well, at Barry's Barometer Barn, we think you need more than one. Otherwise, we're going to go out of business. Remember, at Barry's Barometer Barn, we don't know the meaning of high-pressure sales. Come on, folks, buy another barometer. I'm trying to put my kids through college. I've got a family to support and a secret mistress who isn't cheap.
Visit Barry's Barometer Barn, 000 Storm Drive. Come on, folks, buy a barometer. I'm Barry's older brother, Larry, and every time one of you people walk past the store without coming in, Barry beats me.
This has been a presentation from Tim Morgan's APAC Studio. For more almost professional amateur comic studio content, visit the APAC YouTube channel. Search APAC 2002. That's APAC 2002 on YouTube.
Paranation Magazine is a new paranormal magazine based out of Denver, Colorado. Our goal isn't just to give you the best paranormal content out there, but to promote paranormal unity. We're doing this by giving everyone an opportunity to tell their stories and to share their experiences. For more information, follow us on Facebook at Paranation Magazine and soon, paranationmag.com.
For every Earthling who's ever dreamed of adventures beyond the stars comes the astonishing story of one who made it, Alex Rogan.
You have been recruited by the Star League to defend the frontier against Sur and the Kodan Armada.
Of all the life forms in all the galaxies, one has been chosen to be the last starfighter. The Last Starfighter, with the film of the #1 hit Do They Know It's Christmas, the official Band-Aid story. In the West End and across London now, rated PG.
The night is alive. Join us and take a walk on the weird side when you tune in to the Kingdom of Nye, hosted by Heather Wade, the finest in late night talk. Listen live free weeknights starting at 9 p.m. Pacific time at thekingdomofnye.com, talkstreamlive.com, and the Paranormal Radio app. Wanna take a ride?
Join us every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time for Weird Wednesday, the live stream, with your hosts Jamie, the Living Dead Girl, and Rob, the Phantom, where we'll talk about all things paranormal, including zodiac, astrology, tarot card and oracle card readings, live ghost boxing and spirit communication, where we'll do Voices from Beyond, the Cold Case Files. So we hope you join us live on Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time. We hope to see you there. Bye-bye.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from Talkstream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Vince, you said before you were waiting for a sign. What sign are you waiting for?
Gozer the Traveler. He will come in one of the pre-chosen forms. During the rectification of the Voldrani, the Traveler came as a large and moving Torb. Then, during the third reconciliation of the last of the McKettrick supplicants, they chose a new form for him, that of a giant slore. Many Shubs and Zools knew what it was to be roasted in the depths of the slore that day, I can tell you.
You
You're listening to Paranormal Soup, bringing you the weird every Sunday night. Call into the show and join the discussion. The call-in lines are 219-230-4444 or 260-225-9419, or by Skype caller ID OOJBland00 or JBland Paranormal Soup. And now to your host, Jason Bland.
Tonight we have guest on Phil Siracusa. We had him on. It's the 5-year anniversary tonight of the show, and it's almost been 5 years since we had Phil on. It's such an incredible story. I think when originally we were doing shows, we were only doing 2 hours. Tonight, we have a little bit longer to get into it, and we are going to have the phone lines open here. You can call in. I'm opening up the phone lines now. Again, those numbers 219-230-4444 or 230-265-9419 or Skype ID OOJBland00 or JBland Paranormal Soup. Those are the lines. Call in tonight. If you have your question for Phil or you experienced something similar, have you done blood magic or rituals? What's your experience with the Ouija board? Or you want to call in and say happy anniversary? It's all cool. You can call in, but just remember when you call in, you'll hear me and Phil talk, and just wait till we call on you. Just hang in there. Or if you call in and we hang up on you, it's because the phone lines are full. Just try calling back. But let's go ahead and get back to our guests. Now, where we left off, Phil, you were talking about the first paranormal team to actually come into your home after just about 3 years of living there, right?
Yes, so it was the summer of 2013. Just when you think you're going crazy in this home and the most bizarre things are happening, I contacted Easton Paranormal Society. I believe I see them on television, and they weren't too far away. The night of the investigation was nothing like I expected. They came here with about 6 people and all this different types of equipment, which at the time I didn't know what it was. And I was hoping they would say you got bad lighting in the house and there's nothing going on here, But that was the complete opposite. Right from the beginning, when they started setting up, one of their investigators weren't feeling well. So they had me stay in a room by myself. My wife and my children stayed upstairs in the house. And they started the investigation in the basement. And then 2 of the people on the team went into the room that was the bedroom. And I hear screams, and I run downstairs, and they take a picture with some kind of infrared equipment, and it looks like the outline of a demon. Now, did I believe it? No. I try to say, well, I don't know much about this, but I want proof, not picture proof. I want voices. I want to hear something that's in this house. So they did about a 5-hour investigation. At one point of the investigation, one of the team members' eyes turned black, and we all witnessed it. Oh, wow. She goes out on my front lawn and starts throwing up everywhere. I mean, black as black, and starts throwing up. And another one of them says, we don't feel good. I don't feel good. I want to leave this house. I want to leave. You know what I was thinking? You're all nuts. Everybody's nuts. I was like, get your stuff and get out of here. Yeah, I was like, they're all nuts. So the investigation was crazy. I'm calling my friends on the phone outside the house saying, I don't know. I think I hired a bunch of nut jobs to do, But lo and behold, about a week later, the lead investigator, who was very reputable, gets back to me. He's like, I want to talk to you. It's serious. He goes, you have things there that are unnatural. We want to show you, but not.
We don't hear you. Oh, somehow you muted yourself, Phil. I think. I can unmute you. Hold on. Unmute mic. Oh, it's not letting me. It's saying you're muted. The mic isn't connected, it says. It says your mic isn't connected. So somehow, I don't know if you hit the cord or you did something, check your mic, maybe plug it in, replug it back in. Uh-oh.
Good?
There we go.
There we go. Okay, so get ready for the interferences, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
Are you in the room right now, by the way?
In another room that one of the investigators used to stay here and sleep in every night. So I guess now that we're talking about it, this is
Right.
usually what happens. They would show me pictures of red orbs in the diner. I didn't know what a red orb was, but they're explaining that it's not good. You know, they show me the picture of what looked like to be these demonic-looking entities, and then I heard voices on the recordings that they played back, and in the recordings, it sounded like someone was being tortured, like another spirit. It screams. So they left off. We'll do another investigation. Let us know what's going on. They gave me a sheet to follow to write down everything that's happening in the house from that point on to keep track. Day 1, day 2, day 3. So let's push that aside. I said to my wife, you know what? I need another team here that knows nothing about that team. I want to see what's going on. So about a month later, I had a different paranormal team come to my home on a Saturday. Again, there was about 5 people, all different types of equipment, which I wasn't familiar with. And the lady's walking through my kitchen and she gets scratched on the ankle. I thought she bumped into something. You know, ow, it hurts, it hurts. They go in my basement, they're doing this thing with a flashlight, asking questions, and you see the flashlight going on and off. I wasn't sold on it, the whole flashlight on and off thing.
Yeah, it's one of those pieces of evidence people have that I have quite, you know, I can reproduce that, you know.
It's a 30-second thing where it works, it doesn't work. And I said, okay, well, if it's a spirit really making that flashlight go on and off, how's about I ask a question and see how many times I make it go off. So I says, can you make it go off 5 times in a row? And it went off 5 times in a row. At the same time, one of their investigators got dizzy and had to leave the house. So they left. That night was done. I have a thick head as a New Yorker. I'm not convinced up until I'm convinced, right?
Right.
And I decided to have another paranormal team come to the home.
So this is team 3.
Team 3. And team 3 comes here and it's quiet. It's quiet. Nothing's really happening in the house. And I'm saying, okay, what's going on here? They didn't capture much, team 3. Maybe a little bit of noises, but, you know, can always be ruled out. And I found that interesting up until I started to say, you know what? There's too much noise contamination with paranormal, too many people in the house at once. I decided at that point to have some of the most reputable people at my home by themselves. Because at the same time, when I was putting this out on social media about my house is haunted, I took a lot of it's fake. You just try to sell books. It's make-believe. It's this, it's that. And I wanted to show people what me and my family were living and prove it to the world that paranormal phenomenon does exist and it's real. So I did just that. And one of the first people that came here alone, I believe, was Sean Austin. Good guy, very reputable.
I did it again, Phil. You muted yourself. Or you disconnected your mic. Check it again. I don't know if he's bumping something. There we go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Hello?
Yeah, you hear us? Uh-oh.
Can I just say, while he was talking earlier and started talking about the basement and everything, I started hearing weird stuff happening with his audio.
I did hear some weird, like a voice come in there. I thought I did hear too. But I don't know if he's hearing us now that his mic's back on. Do you hear us, Phil? Uh-oh. Just got to check that cogwheel settings. And got to check your speaker out now because I don't think you hear. Oh, that mutes you.
Hello? Can you hear me?
I hear you. You hear us? We hear you. I hear you. I hear you, but you don't hear us. Uh-oh.
I don't think it's the settings.
He had something going on with his headphones where it's disconnecting or whatever. I think it disconnected his headphones, so now he's not hearing anything. And he can't hear me to tell him to plug him in, plug it back, take it out and plug it back in, maybe. Got to go to your settings, Phil. Oh, shoot.
Julia's what?
Do you hear me?
So Sean Austin came here, and the first thing he did when he walked into the basement is he seen this dark shadow the size of, like I explained, the cantaloupe flying around in the basement. And that was like an eye-opener for me. So
Do you
I'm going
hear
to
me?
pause it there to see if you have any questions.
Okay. Do you hear me, Phil? That's my question. He doesn't hear me.
If Julia's in the nearby him, she can let him know because she's in chat.
Yeah, he doesn't hear us. It's in his settings. He's got to check his settings. Somehow he's disconnected his speakers on his phone or his headphones or whatever. It's not playing through his headphones, so he's not hearing us. Oh, no. Technical difficulties. Of course, on our 5-year anniversary, we're getting technical difficulties. I'd say unplug it and replug it back in, but he can't hear me.
Just have him keep talking till.
What?
Hello?
I hear you fine. You don't hear us. That's the problem. Let me see if I can message him on Facebook. Oh, he's hanging there with us, people. So, 5 years, we figured out ways to figure this stuff out. Let me see if I can get him on.
She replied in the chat room, so maybe she'll tell him to.
Yeah,
Hold on. So hopefully she's going to tell him. We hear you, but you don't hear us.
Yeah, well, I was going to say earlier when Phil had mentioned the Ouija board.
He can hear you.
Okay, so
That's the delay. That's his wife is trying to help him figure out why he can't hear us. Hold on. So hopefully she's going to tell him. We hear you. You don't hear us.
Okay, so you can. If I put it on my phone. 1 second. We're just trying to. I'm gonna have to put you on another phone because it shut me down.
Otherwise, I bring him on one of the phone lines.
I'm gonna pull up the show.
Yeah, he could even maybe go out and come back in. That might do it.
See if I can get him to call around this one. No, that's the wrong number. Don't call that number.
She just wants you to call him. Why don't you just call him?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
You ready for the number?
Yeah. Hold on, wait 1 second.
Give him my phone number so you can get the call in on this one line.
Okay.
219-877-5278.
Yeah, that's it.
I think something just doesn't want him to.
Then I'm going to mute him on here so we don't get double. Says, okay, call him. All right, let's see. We can keep his video there and his audio here. You hear me, Phil?
Yes.
All right. We still see you, but we had you on the phone, one of the phone lines right now. Sorry. I don't know what happened. Something with your settings there kept on going in and out. So it knocked your mic off and then knocked your headphone. Yeah, this will work. We can hear you.
Okay. Great. So I could see you. You could hear me. It's going to happen. It's probably going to get worse as the show goes on.
Yeah.
Because now we're getting into it.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Where were we?
Okay. So I had Sean Austin come to my house, seasoned paranormal investigator. He caught many amazing things in this home. Now, one of the things that the original team members have caught from Easton Paranormal Society was what they believe, which I had no clue about, was called Goat Man, or picture to look like Goat Man. Now, I sent you a variety of pictures. If you could just put that up so I could explain it.
All right. Which picture are we looking for?
It was the picture you actually had up previously.
This one?
That's the picture.
Okay.
So now I want to explain this picture. Now, in the total darkness in my basement in the year of 2017, with my cell phone, my wife and I went into the basement, and one of the people that were one of these big psychics had told us to make an offering to the spirit to try to appease it, and maybe you can see if it will leave you and your family alone. Now, in the picture, if you look closely, you're going to see what looks like horns.
I see it. Yes.
Okay. Yep, there you go. Horns and the outline of what looks like a goat.
Like a goat man.
Yeah. So you do see that?
Yeah, I do.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I
Now,
remember these pictures. That totally looks like a goat.
yeah, it's pretty crazy. Now, when we were working on a show here back in December, one of the camera people, not even a paranormal investigator, the camera people, he was in the basement filming and he felt this burning sensation in the back of his neck. And there's this picture and it looks like a hoof in the back of his neck. This is someone who's not into paranormal. This is just a film person. And it really, but he felt like it was like a hot rod just touched his neck and put it there. And the same exact spot as where that picture was taken in the center of the basement.
I see Rob trying to see if he can zoom in on it. I don't know if he can, but I can see like the mark. It's 0 off to the right of his neck there.
Yes. Yes.
See. Wow, that it's like a brand. Yeah. I mean, it's small for me to see. I've seen the picture. There we go. He's zooming in and see if he can. Doesn't let him move it. Darn it. But yeah, I see that. Wow. Does it look like was there like some kind of writing or symbol in the brand or?
No, it looks like a hoof.
Oh wow!
In the same exact spot that the picture was taken 3 years ago, where the offering was made to try to get this thing to leave us alone. So again, one of the original teams said, "Goat Man is here." What's a goat man? Really? What's a goat man?
My 8-year-old can tell you he's obsessed with Goat Man and Bigfoot. So,
and there it is. Now here's how it works. From what I understand. After having so many paranormal teams here, psychics, mediums, remote viewers, Wiccan, shaman, priest, reverend, deacon, and I respect all religions and I respect everybody who's been to my home. What I've learned is the only thing we did, trying to prove this to the world that this is really happening, is we're feeding this thing somehow.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's smorgasbord time.
And we weren't realizing that we're feeding it. We're like, it's almost impossible again, but yet you're talking 50 paranormal teams because of my thick head. And my wife was like, at one point, is enough?
Right.
And I'm like, I don't know. So now, can we bring up the clip with Brian Cano?
Yeah. It should say Brian Cano video clip, Rob. As a Rob finds as a paranormal investigator, the initial conversation I always have with clients is to let them know by us coming in there investigating, we can make the activity worse. It can get more active and it can do a lot more because we're giving it attention. So it's something I always give as a prerequisite warning and why I don't do some investigations because they're like, well, we don't want it to get worse. And I'm like, then we shouldn't do an investigation. We should pursue other routes. But all right, go ahead and play this clip here. Or before you do, go ahead and explain what we're showing here.
Okay, so I want to explain that in the year of 2017, we did National Ghost Hunting Day here. We were the command center for that big event. And we were lucky to have Brian Cano come down to the home. And I like Brian because he's scientific, and he's on the fence of, and I like that because I don't want people to come here believing in everything. I want the skeptics. I want the atheists. I want to hear from other people. And the night before the event, I says, what do you feel like? In a private talk, I was like, what do you feel like is in this home? So he goes, take me to the locked room, which we call the portal, which was my son's bedroom. Back in the beginning of the show, I told you we had to get him out of there.
Right.
He lasted in that room 45 seconds and says, get me out of here. And I was like, why? He goes, because I feel very, very off-centered in
Just
this
like
room.
you did.
Yes. It throws you off. It's like you're somewhere else. So the day of National Ghost Hunting Day, he went in front of my house and did a live. And he was just talking. And watch what happens as you play the video.
All right, go ahead.
It's more towards the end of the video.
Yeah, that's cool. It's not that long.
Get ready. Follow Scotty's prelim instructions from yesterday. And just remember, you know what? This is not the end of the world. This is not something that, we've followed to the letter. It's not a big deal. I want this to be a low stress thing. I've been stressed all day because we've been trying to deal with technology, and you know what? It's not that important. So do what you can, do your best, and it will all work out. That being said, does anybody have any questions for me? And what time does it start? It starts at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that's my car. That was weird. Yeah, weird things have been happening all day here at the house.
It's like it tried to interrupt his little Facebook Live there.
Yes. And you know what he was saying is that it's interfering with everything. I could tell you that if it could go wrong with electronics the day National Ghost Hunting Day, everything shut down. The internet wouldn't work. The phones were dying. The computer wasn't working. And we challenged through it. We made it. We did okay. But it interfered with everything. Hands on. And that's the thing about spirits is that they know how to manipulate electronics.
Right. That's why we do live ITC shows once in a while on here, and every Wednesday night, Rob and Jamie are on Weird Wednesday doing live spirit box. People are like, "Why do you think that stuff works?" Well, I think spirits can literally have shown that it can manipulate anything electronic.
Yeah, it's like one of the first sources that it goes after. Again, having so many paranormal teams here, I learned a lot. And one of the things is whenever they go to the basement, within 15, 20 minutes, the batteries are going dead.
Yeah,
on their
draining power.
Yes. Now, I'm not sure, but did you have another video clip that I sent you?
Should have most of them up there. Which one are we looking for now?
Okay, so those aren't mine.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in this folder.
Okay, wait, just let me see. Okay, so first I want you to go to the one where it says file May 10th with the picture of the little goat head and the other looking thing underneath the table.
Let's see here. See if I can pull it up. I can't see what he's looking at. Do you see see his arrow? Can you see which one he's on here? Is it
yeah, so if you just go down, I believe, and down.
Go down.
Yep, and then to me it would be my left, all the way to the left.
Okay.
All the way
Yep,
one?
that's it.
All right, go ahead.
Yes. Now, that was the original first picture taken 2017 with the cell phone, and I blew it up. But there's what looks to be like Goatman, and there's another face above it, underneath the table that the offering was made.
Oh, wow. I mean, if you think, the idea of Goatman or goat is a very satanic idea. You wonder what kind of things you're delving in here when you start getting goat-like creatures showing up in the images. I don't know if you can zoom in on that at all, Rob. See if it'll let him. All right, I see where the Goatman is. And then, yeah, you do see, as an investigator, I could say it could be pareidolia. I don't know. It could be just light refracting and we're making faces out of it, but it does look like faces. It does look like a Goatman down there.
Yeah,
it could be pareidolia, right? That's what it looks like. But it's I've had one of the most hardest skeptics, paranormal investigative people. I was like, "You tell me because you're into the." He goes, "No, the outline is the outline. I can't. You can't really. It is what it is at that point.
Yeah.
And ironically, is where that person got the hoof mark and that same spot in the back of the neck.
Did that person have any ill effects afterwards?
They had to get out of the house for a little bit. And then nothing went right after that with the equipment, like the cameras.
Right.
Everything was going haywire. So now, if we could just go back to the picture board really quick.
Yeah, if you go back to the full list of pictures.
Okay, now, one of them is in the basement, and you're going to see these two circles on the ground about 10 feet apart from each other. Yes.
That one?
Not that one. Yeah, no, to the left of that.
Oh, sorry.
Right here?
Yes. Okay. Yes.
That one.
That was caught by a paranormal team in the basement. You know, there's this big question in life about orbs. Are they real? Most orbs are dust particles, water vapors. It is. I'm going to call it the way it is. You shake a blanket, you take a picture, there's your orbs. It's dust. These things have a certain outline they caught. And it seems like, and a lot of the things that are happening here, they travel in two.
Do you believe it? But do you believe you have like two main spirits in the home?
I believe there's always two that are caught like this. And what they explained to me was that the people investigating is it's the first step before the full body apparition would appear. This is how they would travel. Now, what you're looking at really quick. So to the right is a deadbolted door, which is called a portal. That was my son's bedroom. That's where a lot of the evil things took place in this home. I'm not talking very evil, which we're going to get into. The rest of the basement near that stool is where the picture of Goatman and the person that they got the hoof mark and other people were taken over in that one particular area. So I remember this was probably not too far before or after National Ghost Hunting Day, when things really start to get crazy around here. So if we could really quick go to another picture.
One of the things while he's finding the other picture too, I want to say is what your case and all what the different investigators come in there, the way you first encountered that room, the way you felt, the way Brian Cano felt, it reminds me a lot. Again, I bring up Dr. Barry Taff and his investigations with electromagnetic energy, like the CeeLo Drive house or David Oman's house, the way that electromagnetic energy there would affect people. Not that it wasn't paranormal. He did believe there's a paranormal, there's this other reality coming through, but that there's something there where the energy is different, and certain people like you make these things possible. It's a two-way street. You need the location and the person.
Yeah, I believe that. Can we go to the picture? If you could just go up with that, up with the arrow, and perfect, that line, yep, and then right over, you see a little boy in the middle of the banister. Yes, that one. You tell me what you see.
All right, see if we can blow this up, Rob.
Yeah, the first time I saw this one right away.
Yeah, I already see it, but let's blow it up, bring it up full screen. Yeah, you see a little boy there.
Boy, yeah.
You see his chest there, some investigators
his face, his eyes, his nose, his mouth, his hair.
You can see the body there. It's very faint, but I definitely see it. Yes.
Almost like he doesn't have a shirt on.
Yeah. Oh no, totally.
So it's impossible for anyone to fit in between those two poles of the banister because it's very small. Yet this little boy was caught on film, not through the eye, but through the camera. And there it is. And what's really weird is that in that same spot, not too long after, was something different that did not look like a little boy, which led some of the psychics on the case to believe it's a shapeshifter. It's something that can bring in innocence so that you feel for it and then pull you into its darkness.
A lot of demonologists say, that demons will portray themselves as children to get your defenses down. I mean, look at the black-eyed children. Since people have had, they appear as children. They want in your house, and even though their eyes are black, people are like, "Oh, well, should I let you in or not?" A child is not as scary as a monster or an adult. It could be a monster. So you wonder if they do change shape to try to get your guard down.
Yeah, I would definitely believe so. Do you have the clip where you had me on 5 years ago and we were analyzing the voice?
Yeah, we do.
Can we play that?
Yeah, this was an interesting one. I remember you had an investigator come to me with this. And we're doing this Untagged Tuesday. We're doing a lot of ITC stuff. And I compared the two voices. So I don't know if you want to tell how this happened, what this clip was. We don't have the original clip, but this is me playing it on my show. Go ahead and talk about Phil.
Okay, so it was the summer of 2015. And my wife was recording my son, my youngest son. He was reenacting a cartoon.
Yeah.
Injustice, I think the cartoon was called.
Yep.
And when she went to play it back, what she heard was a spirit, which sounds like "Let Me Do Injustice." Watch.
Yeah. Go ahead and play it.
And we played it about 100 times.
Yeah, I listened to it over and over again to compare the two voices. And well, hold on. Actually, one thing, but really before you play it, sorry, I forgot. So you're going to hear two voices because an investigator went and recorded your son's voice saying the same thing to compare the two. And we were playing this on the show. You can see how different the show was back then again, how far we've come. But yeah, you're going to hear us comparing the two different voices, and you can hear they are two different voices. And this other voice, we don't know where it came from. Go ahead.
Let me do justice once. Let me do justice once. Let me do justice once. Let me do justice once.
You can clearly hear the difference between the two voices.
Well, I mean,
And that's the older sounding voice. If you guys can hear it, the one sounds a little bit older is the voice we don't know where it came from, and the younger sounding voice was his son. I remember the video clip. I related to it because I had a son about the same. I had a son that was about 3 then, who watched that same TV show and jump around and watch TV show, and that's what the video clip was of his mom recording him playing along to the show. But this voice comes in when he just turns away from the camera, and she's like, "That's not my son's voice," and she's right, it isn't.
And that's the scary thing as well, is that it watches you. It watches everything you do. And it's watching my son reenact something on television, and it's trying to be part of it. And whether it's that picture of that little boy, if we could just get back to the pictures really quick. Yeah, it was 5 years ago. It said 2015.
Yeah.
Now let's go to, right there, up just one frame, and then, okay, so let's go to the left. Yep, you're right there, right on the blue. Yes. Okay, I want to explain something. I can't explain the whole thing because there's an open investigation about this. A paranormal team had come here, not this March, but the March before. They were true skeptics of the Horsefly Chronicles, not believing that this case was really what people have called it. I did not label the case demonic. The first paranormal team did. I thought my house was just haunted, okay?
Right.
They came here. There was 4 of them. And I'm not going to mention names, but I'm going to say what happened. They investigated the home, and that was taken with the SLS.
Yeah, I can tell.
Now, the SLS, there's a big question. Is it real? Is it fake? Is it your movement? Is it this? Is it that? That's what I ask,
Right.
But because these are the people, these guys are on television, been on television. These are the real peeps. And they're like, look, this thing, now, it actually was it stands on the speaker. There was a stereo, and it was standing on it. Like its feet were lifting on the stereo.
Wow.
Speaker. So the lead investigator, he's like, this thing visited me at my house a couple of days ago. I don't know what this thing is, but it's not good. So they did the investigation at my home, and I haven't heard from them, right? This is back, it's going to be 2 years this March. I didn't hear from them. So about a month later, I reached out to the investigator. Look, what's going on with the evidence from my home? And I was like, enough, but one of your investigators in my home surveillance camera disappeared for 12 minutes in my living room when you left her alone. Now, it could be a glitch,
right,
or it could be something else. So he goes, I don't want to talk about her at all. Long and behold, on the news, we find out a couple of days later that she's dead.
What?
Now, whether or not I will tell you this, that after they went in that portal, that locked room, he got really, really mad at nothing. And he was commanding her and the other guys on the team, do this, do that, pick up that camera, do this. His whole demeanor changed from this nice person to like, who am I talking to?
Right.
And again, I really can't go into the names or anything, but is it a possibility? And I'll tell the world this right now. Is it possible that oppression and possibly possession can take over if you go into a spot where the entity or entities are? The answer is yes.
Oh yeah, I've seen it happen, Phil. I've seen it happen to one of my investigators, and it was the most scariest times on an investigation for me when I watched one of my investigators' personality change and watched her be frozen for almost a minute without saying a word, and then have her memory from that night missing pieces. A walk-in experience. I definitely have seen it happen.
And it's scary because in the portal, which is the locked room that I've been showing, there's that little picture that you have. It's evil. And it sounds like, oh, come on, just a bedroom. Yeah, it is just a bedroom. There's no bed there now. Now it's on home surveillance 24/7 through a Spirit Realm network, so the world can watch what's going on in there. But what's in that room doesn't want you in that room. I've asked some of the top people, what is here? What's in that room? No one has a name because no one could describe it because it doesn't give you anything.
Right.
It gives you nothing, but it lets you know to get out. Get out, or I will take you over. So I've had people challenge me. I've had people say, psychics and mediums, I want to go Facebook Live in that room. I want to show people there's nothing in here. And I did that. We would stay in the garage, and I'd set up a few chairs, and they'd go in that room alone, lock themselves in, and then they couldn't wait. They were crying to get out of there. In a sense where, get me out, because at first nothing happens to them. And all of a sudden, you feel like you're in a Shark Tank, and then these things start circling you that you can't see, and your mind is playing tricks on you in that room. And then when that happens, I've seen people pass out, like out cold in that room. We had to come get them out. So that thing that we're looking at on the SLS, that is nothing good. That is a pure act of evilness. And what it did on the SLS, there's an actual clip somewhere. It jumps through the wall.
And this is like the skeleton out form that the computer is tracing in the SLS signature. That's why some people are skeptics of it, because they're like, it's just the computer trying to recognize people, and it's picking up shadows and light and trying to say that's a person there when there's nobody there. But I've seen some convincing evidence of it, interacting with people, giving hugs to people, dancing to the music. I mean, I've seen some crazy evidence come out from the SLS. So I still haven't decided on it.
You just look at what's happening around when you see it happening too. Like if other equipment's going off or other things are happening when you see the figures.
Yeah.
Now, if we could just go back to the pictures really quick, and there's one with me and the priest.
It says one with you and a priest.
Yes, there you go. So this is a couple of years ago. We really wanted peace in our home with our children, with our family. I had a priest come here and bless every room, even the portal, everything in the home. And you know what happened when the priest was here?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
No blinking of a bulb, no shadows, nothing happens. Nothing happens. Absolutely nothing. And you know what happens 3 hours later when he's gone? The shadows by the corner of the eye, not in front of you, right on the corner, they just start casting in the home.
Yeah.
And you're like, no way. This thing's playing hide and seek.
I believe they do, Phil. I really do believe they play hide and seek. Yeah. There's like, oh, there's somebody coming here that could possibly make me go or whatever. Let's go hide. I swear they do that.
So far we've seen a couple of pitches. We heard a recording of a voice that was only captured once. We've had the Catholic Church. We've had reverends and deacons. If we could just get back to the pitches really quick. And again, we respect and thank everybody that has come to this home. It's just that it became a losing battle. And
Phil, it's why, for my paranormal investigation team, one of the things when we have first conversations with a client is we are not Ghostbusters. We do not get rid of stuff in your home. We don't even try to. We might try to help you find somebody who specializes in that, but we don't try to, because you know what? You can make things worse. There's stuff that will never leave. There's no guarantee, and we have no idea what we're even dealing with. There's a danger. I mean, I do respect the people that do get rid of it, but there's a danger.
There's a very big danger. Can we play the trailer that I sent you, because it has little clips of everything?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It'll say trailer H.
Oh wait. Yeah, just really quick before we get to that trailer, about that incident that happened that I just talked about, if you could just bring the arrow to the left to the video. Yep, keep going left.
That one?
There you go. Now, that is what happened when things were getting crazy with what the guy was talking about. If you could just play it. Watch the cast of the Dark Shadow. Watch that.
Oh, that wasn't a person?
Now watch what happens. Watch. There it comes. Watch.
Are you recording? You should be recording. I think that was fascinating. That didn't take long, did it? No, you can't talk. And I was right, wasn't I? This is very.
All right, go back and play that again.
Those right there coming through the opposite way.
Then the investigators in the background come through. It's not their shadow.
Yeah. No. The ones coming, the shadows coming. Not that. The other ones coming the other way. That.
Oh, I see. Like it's meeting it.
I see. It's like a blob shadow.
Yes.
Those ones right in here.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. I've seen him appear as black masses, no human form, like just blobs floating around. It's weird.
And that's when that person got taken over.
Yeah, see, the shadow shouldn't be coming from the other way because they're all back to the left.
Yep, that's it right there, coming the other way. See?
And it's like it's touching him, touching his shadow.
Yes.
Ah. It is almost like it's reaching out and touching his shadow. Like a big hand. It's almost like a big hand. If you see it, like almost fingers coming in to touch him.
It looks like a weird just soul going into him.
Weird. So he had problems after he left this house in this investigation.
Yes.
I think that was fascinating. That didn't take long, did it? No, you can't talk. And I was right, wasn't I? This is very.
That's the thing. You keep inviting investigators into your home, and you just keep feeding this thing more and more sacrificial lambs. Basically.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Now, the same night, if we could just go to the open door when the door opens itself.
Okay. All right. So this one I've been waiting
and then we'll go to the trailer because these were the same people that had cameras everywhere, the same team.
Okay. So when I get video evidence, I looked at all these videos before we got on, Phil. I just want to pre-warn you. This one, I actually made an edit of this one because when I saw the door open, I was like, okay, I want to zoom into that. And I got something. I want to see what you think of it. So it's going to play your original video, but I zoomed in on this door and I see something there. And I want to see what you think. So go ahead. Zoom. Definitely want to bring this one up full screen. Oh, we want the audio for it because you hear
I
it go.
think I see what you're talking about.
Go back to the beginning. Go back.
Coming inside.
Yep.
Right there.
Yeah, that right there. But go back to play the original. Go back to the beginning of it.
You open the door?
And I noticed that there's a little something there. Now watch this.
Yeah.
You don't see something opening up, but watch. Looks like a hand comes
And it touched the handle.
See it? See, there's a hand, and then a hand comes in. Now, was there anybody outside
It's touching the handle.
Yeah.
That's the room I'm in now.
And there should be nobody in that room?
No. That's when I said that one of the investigators went off surveillance for 12 minutes, disappeared.
Yeah. The one that died. Right?
Yeah.
You can see. So there's nobody in that room, but we're seeing, is that a hand of a
There's
ghost?
There's a flash of light behind it, too.
See it right there.
I get the chills.
Did you ever zoomed in on this video?
Yeah, we've looked at it about 1 million times trying to understand this video.
Yeah, it's like holding the handle.
Crazy.
Yeah. Whenever I get evidence or somebody from investigator, I do all kinds of video stuff to, especially when it's video evidence, to review it and see it, because that's kind of my specialty. And when I noticed it, right, if you look at the original clip, it's hard to tell there's something there, but when you zoom in, there's definitely something in that room holding that door open. You almost see it pull it open, but it's really at the end of it. You see it grab like to keep the door open.
Yeah.
And how many times on investigations would go, can you open a door? Knock on some. You know, I've had doors open, but that's a pretty clear response to their question.
That was, again, you know, I think that when they made the claim that they were visited before they got here, not believing in anything, they came here with a lot of questions, and the girl disappears off home surveillance for 12 minutes. She's gone, and then she reappears. And at the same time, the dark shadows are taking place in the basement as if there's a time lapse. And then the guy goes crazy.
You were stirring something up that night for sure. All right, we do have somebody waiting on the phone line. We're going to have whoever's waiting on the phone line. We're going to get you after the commercial break we got coming up here in 5 minutes. So just hang in there, because I know we want to play the trailer too, and we got about 5 minutes before commercial break. But yeah, that there. I think if there's nobody in that room, Phil, that investigation was on par on the deal. Then you got an image of a spectacle. You got an apparition showing up in that video. It can either be one or two things. It's either a person or that's an apparition in that video.
Or is it the boy?
Well, which would be an apparition.
Yeah.
Now, do you know how the girl died? Or able to say? What was her cause of death?
Murder.
Murder?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. You're messing with some dark stuff. Now, you we're coming on a commercial break. You said you wanted to play the trailer next?
Yes.
All right. There should be, it should say HFC trailer, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Is this it?
Yes.
Yes, that's it. All right. Go ahead and pull it full screen before you play, though. Or if you can.
A family, a haunting.
Can you turn it up, Rob?
For many, this would be considered, well, strange, unusual, insanity. For the Siracusas, it's reality. It's life. It's controlled chaos. Welcome to their reality.
So this is the trailer for the new show, you guys, reality show.
That's the trailer for, we'll get into that too a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're still living with it. You're still living there. A lot of the questions before we get a commercial break, I want to get this in, is why have you not moved? Is I'm sure the question you've got a billion times.
Yep. So do you want to go to commercial or do you want me to answer that now?
If you want to answer that in a short or leave us hanging short answer, because we got commercial in 3 minutes.
Well, you know, it's not as easy as it says. Move, right?
Right.
When you have a large investment and you're on the fence of believing and not believing and believing and not believing and having so many different people here. And it's one of those things where, you know, you try to remove it. We've had ministries here. We've had everybody here to try to remove it. And it only backfires. I only sent you some of the stuff, but there's videos where the day after people leave or the priests leave, then you see, we have these videos of crazy things happening in the house. So we gave up that battle. We gave up. And I believe that there's no such thing as a magic wand. Sometimes, you know, you just have to let it go and do the best you can do. Will we eventually leave? Most definitely. But it ain't going to be very close to this house. And we do not want another family here. It's not fair because the family we bought the home from were very miserable people as well.
And
They were very unhappy.
the question you have to ask yourself, is this thing going to follow you?
I've been told by some of the best, the answer would be that whatever was here, and it claims the land. It claims the land.
But with your history and what we know of the paranormal, it's always possible this thing could follow you. It's found a food source it doesn't want to let go. So, you know, you wonder why these things follow sometimes. I mean, it's obviously followed investigators. I was going to tell you, you talk about stuff right before we got ready. I went up, you can ask Jamie and Rob, I run upstairs like constantly, go to the bathroom and all that before we get on. And in between us, right before you got on to test, I went upstairs right before you got on. And I didn't tell them this, but I had one of my kids' toys just suddenly start going off on its own. I'm like,
Wow.
Because I know how these things work. And I remember you have a lot of toys that go off in your home. I'm like, is that a sign? I came down here and you got on.
You know, really quick, the very first show that I did, the radio show to tell my story, was The Far Side. And I remember him saying, look, I respect that you came on the show, but you're psychic and you're an investigator. I don't believe a word you're saying. And I said, that's fine. And then a week later, I get an email from him. Says never to contact him ever again because ever since I've been on his show, disembodied voices have been happening in his home and it's scaring his children.
Yeah, see, that I believe that these, you know, like I said, the power there for it to move or follow or go somewhere else is very much there. I don't know if it was setting off the toy in my kids' room. We got to go to commercial break. I got somebody holding on the phone line. Just wait there. We're going to go to our last commercial break. We come back. We'll take this phone call and get more of the story. We got some more photos and that. Time goes by fast, just like 5 years goes by fast. This show really goes by fast at night. So we'll be right back after the short commercial break.
Intercepted transmission of unknown origin.
Transmission? Out here?
SOS.
Human.
Unknown.
Alien. Certificate X. Exclusive engagement at the Odeon Leicester Square. Now.
Any systematized transmission indicating a possible intelligent origin must be investigated.
In space, no one can hear you scream.
The international chart-topping Haunted Horror of Haverfordwest has been described as terrifyingly real, a must-read, shocking and chilling brilliance, genuinely worrying, utterly frightening. Don't read before bed. Described as one of the spookiest writers out there, best-selling author G.L. Davies presents Haunted Horror of Haverfordwest, the true paranormal account that is shocking the world. Dare you enter? Dare you read? Haunted Horror of Haverfordwest is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, and wherever books are sold. Pray you never have to live there.
Phantasm, the film that puts the fun in funeral. And as for a fiendish story, it does have a burial plot. Come prepared to scream, because if this one doesn't scare you, you're already dead. Phantasm from Avco Embassy Pictures. Rated R under 17, not admitted without parental.
Join us every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time for Weird Wednesday, the live stream, with your hosts Jamie, the Living Dead Girl, and Rob, the Phantom. where we'll talk about all things paranormal, including zodiac, astrology, tarot card and oracle card readings, live ghost boxing and spirit communication, where we'll do voices from beyond the cold case files. So we hope you join us live on Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time. We hope to see you there. Bye-bye.
This fall, a new hard-hitting police drama is coming to Friday night. He was a well-to-do cop transferred to a troubled precinct downtown. His new partner is a space traveler with a passion for justice. It's Yuppie and the Alien.
Look, you might vaporize dissidents in Alpha Centauri, but in this precinct, we do it by the book.
I'm so terribly sorry, Captain.
Goog, I'm sorry. Don't miss this one-of-a-kind police drama. They're fighting crime the hard way, in designer clothes, with $250,000 sports car and a UFO.
Partner, let's go cruise in the car and look moody.
One tough downtown precinct, two outsiders doing things their way. Yuppie and the Alien on VBC.
If you are interested in discovering the truth about the paranormal and want to hear from leading researchers in the field, join Justin Brown on his 3 weekly shows named My Paranormal Soapbox, Necromancer Live Show, and the Supernatural Symposium, live on Facebook, YouTube, and interfacediff.net.
The night is alive. Join us and take a walk on the weird side when you tune in to The Kingdom of Nye, hosted by Heather Wade, the finest in late night talk. Listen live free weeknights starting at 9 p.m. Pacific time at thekingdomofnye.com, talkstreamlive.com, and the Paranormal Radio app. Wanna take a ride?
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from Talkstream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Heat 'em up. Do, re, be gone.
Tonight on Paranormal Soup, we've been talking to Phil Siracusa of the Horsefly Chronicles. It's been 5 years anniversary today, and it's been about 5 years since we had Phil on the show. It's an incredible case, an incredible experience that him and his family have had over the years living in this home. All this paranormal activity, 50 or more investigations that have happened in this house or more, and the amount of evidence. We still got more pictures and stuff we'll probably show tonight, and I got somebody waiting on the phone lines. Now, we only got the 2 phone lines open, 219-230-4444, or you can call in at Skype ID 00JBland00. Right now, I got somebody waiting online. We're going to get them in just a second, so if you call in, you might have to call back, because you can only take one call at a time. But let's go ahead and get back to our guest. Now, I want to get to this phone call here. They've been waiting on hold. If you're all right with that, Phil. Oh, I got to turn you up. Forgot you're on the phone line too. There you go. There you go. All right. Look, we got Zach on the line. How you doing tonight, Zach?
I'm doing pretty good, brother. How you doing?
Pretty good. Thanks for calling in. You probably my longest calling into the show, Zach, with the best questions.
I'm glad to be here, man. I just have 2 questions tonight. I'll keep them short and brief as possible. Phil, nice to meet you, man. I love hearing your story, everything that you've been going through. So my first question to you is, with the activity that you have going on in your home right now, is a lot of it linked to a lot of the previous events that you've had over in your past, or is the activity just exclusively right there at your home?
That's a very good question. Whatever's here has been here. Now, I've always had an attachment. I've always had things follow, but not to this nature of time lapses, of you're off-centered. Nothing like this. This is like the perfect storm of paranormal, where it just happens. Things come from nowhere, you know. That's the best. If the home, whatever the home is sitting on, even if the home is not here, it's the land. So we had researchers a few years ago. We actually had history researchers document and say that, hey, the Iroquois Indians were here between the Easton and the Delaware and the Forks River, and they lost a battle here, and they lost a treaty, and there was a lot of bloodshed here. I guess that sort of speaks why there's so much activity in Easton, Pennsylvania for paranormal sites.
Right.
And we just so happen that our home happens to be on one of the prime spots that maybe some of the activity took place. Now, a lot of the pictures that we have, you know, look like false face masks, something that Indians would wear to scare off their rivals. Is there a possibility in a link? I think so. And I'm going to tell you, because when I started to write the book, The Horsefly Chronicles, and tell my life story and what was going on in this house, I found myself some strange reason, something telling me play Indian drum beats and write the book in the basement. And I had these huge speakers, and I'm blasting these Indian drum beats on YouTube, and I feel myself going into this like meditative state, and I'm writing the book. And it kind of fits in there like a puzzle. It's like, whatever it is, it's like, here, we're going to tell, because some of the things I wrote in that book, I'm not understanding it. But then when I reread it, I'm like, wow. And you know what I did, because again, there's a lot of people that don't believe, but I respect that. I don't believe a lot of stuff either. But my second book, The Curse of the Horsefly Chronicles, was a book, not in my words, the paranormal investigators that came here. I wanted them to tell the public in my book, page for page, what they experienced before, during, and after, and leave me out of it. And that's what we did. We gave their evidence and their testimony to what they believe is here.
To answer your question, Zach?
That does. And my second question goes back to the Red Room. During the different investigations that you've had over in your home, have you ever had a medium or a psychic ever tell you that maybe that room in particular is maybe a portal for the spirits to go in and out of our realm?
Yes, most definitely. And we put a deadbolt on it. No one goes in there. Nobody. Yes, they have told. That's where they're pinpointing it to that room.
Okay, cool. Well, those are all the questions that I had. Thank you so much, Phil, for answering those questions. I love hearing your story and everything that you're saying. I can't wait to hear more, man.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks for calling in, Zach. You have a great night. And thank you for calling in all these years.
Absolutely, brother. And before I go, really quick, happy 5th anniversary for Paranormal Soup. I'm really honored that you guys allow me to call in. And because I'm at my fiance's house, I'm not drinking, so I'm going to raise my bottle of water over to you guys. So Jason, Jamie, Rob, cheers. Here's to 5 years and many more.
Thank you. Thank you, Zach. My first callers, and still calling into the show 5 years later. Have a great night, Zach. Thank you.
Have a great night, everybody.
I've had one investigation where a client had a red room where all the activity was centered around. And if you remember the Amityville Horror, they had the secret red room, and you've heard people, well, the red is they're doing satanic worship in that room or stuff like that. What do you think? Do you think that being painted red for one was a clue that something had been done there? Do you think somebody practiced the occult in your house too? Just these things seem to draw that to them. Like it was already haunted location, but it seemed to draw people into the occult to do things like, let's do a Ouija board in this room, or let's worship Satan here.
I would think that too, but there was an exercise, one of those big universal exercise machines in the room.
Right.
So the guy the previous owner used it as a workout room.
Yeah.
And it was painted red. I couldn't figure that one out because I would think that too. Like, was he using it for practicing of the occult? No, he was working out in there. So it kind of threw me off.
Maybe red is because they say trying to sleep in a red room, the color will give you too much energy. You can't sleep there. Maybe that's the purpose of the workout room was make it red to give them energy. I don't know. But I had an investigation where somebody's like, it was a blood red room, like somebody painted it blood red, and it was a lot of bad mojo there. So when I think about the room being red, it makes me wonder if anybody was trying to do anything, to open things up more than they were before you lived there.
Yeah, we didn't really get along at the closing, and that was the end of it. And in fact, it's so bizarre because part of their closing check came to this home, and I tried to reach out to them. They would not accept my phone call.
Mm.
It's as if it's your house, it's your problem. Goodbye forever.
Yeah, we're done with it. We've seen many. I've seen, we've heard countless stories. You see countless stories in paranormal shows. How these drive families apart and, they feed on each other. You experienced it with your family when you first started realizing something was going on. Cause it seems like I compare them to some kind of parasitic entity that feeds off our emotions. I make this statement on the show all the time, this comparison, I should say, from Star Wars, cause I'm a big Star Wars fan, is the cave in Dagobah. You familiar with Empire Strikes Back, the movie?
Yeah.
You remember the cave in Dagobah where Yoda tells Luke to go in the cave and Luke starts to take his weapons, like, no weapons, you need not, but Luke takes his weapons in there and gets in a fight with a ghost version of Darth Vader that ends up being himself when he chops his head off. And I've always compared that to a lot of how paranormal activity works, is that you get what you expect. Luke went into the cave expecting danger. He brought his lightsaber, and what happened? He got back Darth Vader trying to attack him. We got somebody else calling in right now. 203 area code. Who do we got?
Hi, Jason. It's Azariana here.
Hi, Azariana. Thanks for calling in.
Hi. I wanted to say happy anniversary to you.
Oh, thank you.
Jamie and Rob on your show.
Thank you.
And I'm glad I found you. And I also wanted to ask Philip, I wanted to ask him if it was possible that they could leave the house and
Phil
have it not follow them.
Phil and his family could leave without it follow him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good question. I think up until you really get here, it's a lot of confusion. You could have thoughts of moving and make all the plans in the world to leave this home, but your thoughts and your mind get contaminated. But stay, it's good here. This is protecting you. It's as if some people say that we're the groundkeepers for these things on this property that they lost. That's all I could say. It's not easy to leave because there's so much confusion behind it. It'll stop you. It'll take away finances. It'll break things. You'll go out and your car won't start. Your hot water tank. All these weird things will happen immediately. And if you dare try to remove it, you and everybody else is in for the battle. And, we had a ministry here. They spent an entire Saturday here. I'll never forget this. One of them had a brand new car. They got stuck up the street.
Yeah.
The other one was in a car accident about a mile down the road, hit a deer. It will go after everybody. And that's what scares me is that there's no boundaries for this.
Yeah.
There isn't. And again, it's hard to believe unless you really understand this field. Now that I have so many people, I've learned so much from investigators that you got to be careful. where you're poking that stick, because this thing, you can't see it. It's an invisible enemy that can come after you and everybody else.
Yeah, I like I said, I compare it to a parasite too. That
Mm-hmm.
you know, one of the reasons it might not want you to leave the moment you start to think about it, it's like, that's my food source. You're not going anywhere, buddy.
Yes.
Well, I lived in a house. I had rented a house, and I had the same experiences. And I never had anybody look at the house or investigate the house, but I kind of felt the same way. If I really didn't want to leave, I felt like I was protecting the property, et cetera. But I did leave, only because I realized if I didn't leave, it was going to kill my soul. If that's that's the only way I could describe it. And it was very, I won't say it was terrifying, but I'm glad I got out. I'm glad I got out.
I agree.
And
I agree with you.
And I'd also like to say that my phone lost, my battery was drained. I'm having all kinds of stuff happen in my house. I'm sure everybody else is being affected. So they don't, I believe it. I've experienced it. They don't like you saying anything. They like your energy to feed off of it, and they get the attention and feed off of everybody. And I said a prayer, and I put it in the chat room if anybody has seen it, and I hope you see it, because everybody needs protection, because this is going to travel, and it is not allowed to travel. And it's not only going to affect you, but it's going to affect everybody in this chat room. And I'm sorry I'm taking up too much time, but I won't deal with it since I've already dealt with it. So
yeah,
I'm going to be doing a protection for you and your family, Phil. And I hope that things do get better for you, your family, and everybody in the chat room.
Thank you, Azariana.
Thank you. You all have a great night.
You too.
And blessed be.
I do think these things can travel just through a phone. I've had my experiences. I've talked about them plenty on the show, that these things can travel just through a phone line. Basically, just that kind of connection with somebody else.
So yeah, I want to just talk about that really quick. Back a few years ago on Paranormal Zone TV, with Doreen, big show as well. And what we did was, what we're talking about right now is, we wanted to see, we had people from around the world that either make paranormal equipment, or people that have been in the field so long, or psychics. And what we were trying to do is an experiment that we did. And each week we did an experiment with somebody, maybe Anthony Sanchez, maybe David Spinks, maybe these different people were using their equipment to see if whatever was here would go there and communicate. I remember. And I can tell you this, it did happen. And we try to rule out a lot of things, but it was just like, it was acknowledging, it was saying my voice, Phil. And the guy lives in California, and I'm in Pennsylvania, so they do travel. Yeah. How that works, I don't know, but
we see it as
we were able to prove it.
We see evidence of that every time we do an ITC show. Every Wednesday at Weird Wednesday, there's evidence of that. We got somebody else that's called in at 412 area code. Who do we got?
It's Ryan.
Hi, Ryan. Thanks for calling in.
All right. I was in chat. So I got a question real quick. I'm an investigator with Law and Strickler and them. But anyways, so I'm in the field. I get a question. So I've been messing around. I'm telling you this first part to get to my last part, which is going to be my question. So real quick, this week, I was shining a flashlight at this guy. Anyways, I got a light blink back at me, and it was real close. And then 2 nights ago, I got on a record. Same thing happened. Pretty much a UFO. So I told you that to tell you this. Last night, me and my wife were outside, and we're smoking. I'm like 50 feet away from the street light. All of a sudden, I just see this dark entity. I mean, I don't know what it was. It was either smoke or it was just straight dark. But anyways, it was gliding down the street past the bushes, and it had to have been at least 7 feet tall.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, did I really just see that? And
I know that feeling.
All of a sudden I go, you know what, did you? And my wife caught me off and was like, did I see that shadow figure? I said, yes. She goes, yes. So what would that have to do with any of that? Do you guys have any idea?
You said you saw a UFO first, right? That's what we're talking about.
Yeah,
first.
for sure. Yeah, I've been messing around with a flashlight. Yeah, for sure. And that's what I do. I investigate UFO sightings. So.
Okay. Well, okay. I want to get into this real quick, Phil. I'll make my statement on this really quick. I've had guests on that are abductees. Okay. And in private, they've told me stuff that they haven't told people or in their books, and that they've also experienced shadow person experiences like mine, connected to their alien abduction. Now, I'm researching my own instance of maybe being abducted by aliens and really going back to my own past, because it might be connected to the shadow person's experiences I had too. So there is this alien connection. There's a reason I called the show Paranormal Soup 5 years ago, because I believe all this stuff is connected. All right, Phil, what's your answer to this? Sorry, I had to chime in there.
I definitely agree there's a connection between aliens and demons. There's a lot of evidence that's pointing to that. Aliens are real, period. They're real. They're in existence. There's no question about it. And some of the things that happen here at this home, time lapses, where does that come from?
Like missing time?
Yeah, missing time. We've had missing time 3 times happen here in the last 10 years. And we're talking about hour missing time completely. So there is a connection. In fact, we had 2 teams here investigate at the same time. The team in the basement was capturing apparitions, while the team in the backyard seen something shoot away.
Like in the sky?
Yes.
Yeah, see.
From the ground.
There, in a lot of places, you look at the Skinwalker Ranch and other hot spots of paranormal activity where they have paranormal shadow people, dogmen, Bigfoot, and then they have UFOs. It's like the aliens or whatever, or it's interdimensional, or somehow this is all connected. I've always felt that.
Yes.
Yeah, I got one more thing to add into that. So last year on June 1st, I was also outside. It was 3:30 in the morning. I was recording these lights because the same thing happened. I was using a flashlight and they started blinking back at me. So the one, I took a screenshot of the video. Now I can send you the screenshot I got out of it.
Yeah.
And I showed one of the people on here the photo of it, but you can see easily there's an entity sitting right in the middle of it. Like, it's crazy. Like,
I'd love to
it's
see
insane.
it.
Like, and that's the same kind of lights I saw 2 nights ago. The same exact kind of ones. Like, and so I agree with you. Like, it has to have something to do with. They have to all mean something with each other.
There's definitely some kind of connection. Well, thank you, Ryan, for calling in. If you want to email me any pictures or anybody else like that, it's paranormalsoupjbland@gmail.com. Paranormal Soup, J,
all right, I will.
J, and last name Bland @gmail.com. Go ahead and email me. I'd love to see that. Thank you so much for calling in, Ryan.
All right, you guys have a good one.
You too. Yeah, it's something I didn't even get to ever really get into with you. Is there any kind of alien connection to this? Because I do find that a lot with these kind of locations like yours are such hot spots and such open portals. My shadow person experience, I never wanted to qualify it as a demon. Not to say it isn't, but it felt alien to me. And the reason it did is because of an experience that I kept blocking out that happened to me on a camping trip a year before it. And now I'm starting to piece, after talking to alien abductees, I'm starting to piece some stuff together. I'm still kind of inner searching on that.
Yeah, there's a lot of evidence that's pointing to the both that are connected. There's definitely evidence of that. So it's not just ghosts and demons. There's a connection with aliens somehow intertwining with this whole thing. We don't have the answers, but some of the things that we got on the investigations didn't sound like anything that we would even know, like code, some kind of a code coming through. This was September of 2017. Yeah. And it's weird. That's why Dave Spinks got involved with this case as well, because we were trying to dissect it. And it's one of those things where, what are we dealing with?
Right.
It's almost impossible to deal with so many different things on the one roof. But yet we're dealing with these occurrences. That's why we keep bringing people in. Right now, everything's on hold, obviously, because the world's upside down. But we're not sure where we're going to go with this as far as having more people come here. We've gotten what we wanted in that sense, you know?
Yeah.
I think we're just feeding the devil in one sense, which is not good.
Yeah.
And we're the energy source for it. You know, we had dinner with a ghost here. They traveled the world a few years ago. And I remember one of the people saying, there's nothing here. There's no ghost. I don't believe in anything. And the tables were set up in my basement. This was on video. And all of a sudden, the liquid in everybody's glass was moving. The liquid, but not the glass or the table. And then one of the people, they were choking. And we had to get out of the house. They couldn't breathe.
Oh, wow.
And they wouldn't come back in the house. So I think that when you attack something that you don't see, I don't believe, you're fake, there's no such thing, it will retaliate so quick. And I've seen this over and over again. Yeah. It's best if you're going to do an investigation. I tell people, be passive. Don't threaten. Don't use these words thinking that no one's going to go home with you. Just be polite. Investigate professionally as if you're talking to a friend versus you're trying to intimidate something that's here. So it's going to happen to you. Not today, not tomorrow, just on the road.
Email. No, I've always said that. That's why protocols for my team for investigations, we don't provoke, not in an angry or negative way. We provoke it's in an intelligent way to get a response, but nothing negative. Because would you talk like a jerk to somebody you just met? You know, would you do that? I mean, you don't know how they're going to react. You don't know who you're talking to.
Yeah, you put off trending lightly and you get more back than trending with a bull, and you don't know what you're going to get back.
I hope I got the email in there. I hope I got it right. Yeah, there we go. Paranormal Soup, jbland@gmail.com. That's my email if anybody ever wants to reach out to me or give me. I always love seeing evidence. We've showed quite a bit tonight, but there's so much more. Now, the reality TV show that you guys have, if you already started filming it, or what's the deal with that?
You know, everything's on hold, right?
Right.
I mean, so as of December, the end of December, that was the end of everything. Actually, beginning of January. But there's a lot of problems with people and filming, not even investigators, filming on this location. There's been a lot of problems.
Technical problems, yeah.
Well, no, not only technical, really? People that are actually going nuts in their head. They were interviewing me in this one segment in my living room. And they were asking me these certain questions, and all of a sudden I couldn't leave the chair. I couldn't lift myself out of the chair. And then the camera person jumps back, gets scared, and then on the film they capture this black shadow casting right behind me as we're all trying to get in the house to go to the deck. And what it's doing is it mind manipulates everybody.
Oh, yeah.
It will affect everybody. This, when they made the Amityville horror movie, when they make these movies, they don't film in the real location for a reason, which we've learned now, because you're never going to get it done the right way. When you're trying to film at a place that's already haunted, what do you think the ghosts are going to do? Say, cheese, take my picture? They're going to go after everybody. And that's what they do. It has been nothing short of a nightmare. We'll get it done. We will get it done. But it goes after everybody in a different way. I get phone calls. I'm affected. I live here. I can't believe this is happening to me. It's one of those things, and it's one of those locations. I tell people, don't believe a word I'm saying. Come on down. I'll invite you to my house. And you tell me what you experience here.
Yeah, that's the best way. And everybody, it's the cave in Dagobah, and they come in with their expectations, and they get something back. And you're feeding. I feel like you're serving people up to a smorgasbord of these unseen entities that are feeding off of people's energy. Is what I'm not trying to blame you. You're trying to get answers to this, but that's what I see happening when you're doing the reality TV show and you're having these people come in. These things are immediately going, ooh, more food.
It's weird, right? It's really like, yeah, I agree. I mean, in some sense, it's like you're feeding them the same way that we made the offering in the basement, and then all of a sudden the picture of Goatman appears, or what looks to be like Goatman. What does that tell me? That tells me that they're eating something, if not us, mentally and physically.
Well, we've made this, I've made this speculation on the show before about cryptoid sightings like the Jersey Devil, Goatman, Bigfoot. that these could be this could be something we don't even understand. It might not be a creature. It could be something that's on another level dimensionally from us that appears like a wolf man, or appears like a Bigfoot, or appears like a Jersey Devil or goat man to get us frightened and then to feed off of that.
I agree.
So you could be seeing a representation of that in the evidence you're getting in the home of these transformations, these things that it's looked like over time, or these entities can take shape and form of, because that's how they've gotten their food source. If you look like a big scary monster and that gets the biggest effect to get your food source, then you're going to look like a big scary monster if you're able to change shapes, which I think these things can do.
They can change shapes. They all the time they change form, and things appear out of nowhere, and you're looking at it like, what am I looking at? It's materializing, but it's there, but it's not there. It's kind of like a parlor trick that the demon would play. Like, you're going to see it in your mind, but it really doesn't exist. It'll exist in front of you, but it's not there. They could do these crazy things to our minds, especially in this home. So the portal, that red room that's now painted blue, because I didn't want it red no more years ago, it's an evil room. It is a very evil room. A couple of months ago, we had another show filmed here besides the reality show. And these are people that just film. They're not really into dismaying, I don't believe in. They've encountered something that they're like, I can't explain it. I cannot explain it. It's a different energy source that controls the mind.
Yeah. I believe that, and like I said, it feeds off emotional energy. Well, we're at the end of the show, Phil. I don't know if there's any other last information you want to get out to people, where they can find your material or check out a website or anything.
Yeah, well, you can check out the Horsefly Chronicles on YouTube. A lot of the teams that have been here are on YouTube. If you Google the Horsefly Chronicles or the Curse of the Horsefly Chronicles, there's an abundance of evidence. And as of right now, all investigations, everything's on hold because we don't feel like antagonizing, provoking. We're just leaving things at they right now.
Especially when you're locked in.
And I do thank you. Yeah, and you have a great show, 5 years in the making, and then I was on Jamie's show, great show as well, and I like that. I like when people do shows because it shows evidence. It shows that we're not alone, right? Other people are going through this, and these shows help people learn that, hey, it is real. You're not crazy. This does exist.
That's exactly why I started doing it.
Jason, I think you're doing an incredible job with everything you're doing, because that's what we do on our radio show. We get the best of knowledge, and we try to make the best information from it. Is there an expert in paranormal? No.
No.
Is everything we've seen tonight meant to believe that that's what it really is? No. I'll be lying to the world. We don't know everything. We're still learning. But we put the brakes on things here right now.
Yeah.
Because we just feel like we're just provoking in its own way.
Yeah. Not the time to do it when you're on quarantine lockdown or you have to stay at home. That's not the time to provoke any kind of paranormal activity. Well, thank you so much, Phil, for being on the show. I look forward to when your TV show eventually comes out and getting to see it. And we're waiting for more exciting stuff, and love to have you back on again.
Thank you so much for having me on. Jason, Jamie, Rob, everyone, have a great night. And everyone, be safe in these unprecedented times. Have a good night.
All right, guys, we'll be back next Sunday. Thanks to everyone for this 5 incredible years of doing this show, and hopefully 5 more years or more. We'll keep doing it. 5 years, I said I'd reevaluate. If I wanted to keep doing it, of course I want to keep doing it. This is my joy, my thrill, is to come on here and connect with all you guys, meet new interesting guests, and hear new phone callers every time. Every other show, got a new phone caller. I love having new callers, and I love hearing from the regular callers. It's been such a great experience, and I can't wait to experience more with you guys. But next week, we will have on a new guest, Jason Levy. He had a near-death experience that changed his life. We're going to talk about that. So that will be next Sunday, same bad time, same bad channel, 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. Central. Don't forget to follow us on YouTube or follow us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube. And if you can help us out with $2 a month on Patreon, that'd be great. Just look up Jason Bland Paranormal Soup there. But everybody who shares the shows out and tells a friend about Paranormal Soup, you guys are really supporting the show the most. Keep telling people about Paranormal Soup and let them know it's a place where anybody can come discuss the paranormal. Open. No judgments here. All right, guys, we'll see you next week. Have a great night.